Good evening. Welcome to episode 24 of the Mixup Midweek podcast. And this week we are joined by none other than the elusive but very busy Pong Soul. How are you doing together, brother? What have you been up to?
Oh man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. I'm so happy to be here, guys. Obviously, long-time chat person, multiple winner of prizes, and now, like I was telling you guys backstage, I won the ultimate prize. I'm on the show. You guys didn't even announce this contest. All of a sudden, I saw a DM and I was a winner. So
you won.
Yeah, exactly. So no, this is fantastic, guys. Obviously, just been playing a lot of Division 2 and back into that full swing. Originally when it came out, I put about 300 hours in. So, to get back into it and to see everybody else in the community, some people rediscovering it, some people trying it for the first time and really excited about it. It's been awesome. So doing a lot of that. I jump around a lot of other games too, but otherwise I'm just excited to be here with you guys because, I love you guys. I love what you do here. I love the community that you built. Chat, awesome to see you all here as always. And I just want to get into the topics and let's have a conversation and talk some stuff.
Awesome stuff. We'll get on to our regular panel. So, of course, this week when Pat decides to jump back in, we'll get to him. He's dropping out again. First of all, Forza Erwin, how are you doing today, brother? I know you've had a very bad tooth, so you might be a little bit quieter than usual.
Yes, I'm trying not to laugh as much as I normally do because when I laugh, it hurts like hell. But it's difficult because I'm always a very positive person that likes to laugh a lot. So let's see how it goes tonight. But no, my wisdom tooth is coming through. So I have some wisdom coming my way finally. At 37 years of age. But no, besides that, man, I'm doing really well. Work is going well. The family is going well. Everybody's healthy. So that's good. Playing some games lately, like Sea of Thieves again. Somehow I'm hooked up again with Sea of Thieves. Also, because of Vincent, who was on the podcast the 2 episodes ago. But yesterday played with Emu, with Perepluk, and with the wife of Vincent and also his daughter. So we had some nice raids and collected some gold. So the gold hoarder stuff was going on. But really enjoying my Series X still a lot. Still sometimes sneak peeking if I can get a PS5, but not anytime soon, I guess.
Nope. I'm exactly the same. Again, I could have had one at launch, but there was nothing really there that I wanted. But I definitely want to try and get one in time for Ratchet and Clank.
Yes.
By June.
Sure.
Has to.
Yes. That's a good reason. That's a really good reason to get it, right?
Yeah. Eventually something that makes me want that PlayStation 5. Ratchet and Clank is the first game that I've... And again, because we didn't know when it was coming out, especially when they said it was a launch window game, that could have been... I was hoping that was going to be a launch game, but then they were like, no, it's just Godfall and Dark Souls. I was like,
Quite a big launch window, right? It's quite large.
Yes, very big launch. Yeah. 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months, like a pregnancy.
But yeah, so eventually something to get that PlayStation 5 for me anyway. So looking forward to playing that when it comes out. We'll get to Pat whenever he comes back again. But Shomberlon, how are you doing this week, brother? You even got your name spelled correctly.
I did. I managed to remember to put the L in just before I came in.
I went for the Japanese version.
The Chinese version. Shomberlon.
Yeah.
Shomberlon.
What you been up to? What you been playing?
At work mainly. I'm preparing for an interview on Tuesday for a university to do my teaching license. So I've been trying to get all that sorted. But most of the time I've been hitting the Division pretty hard. I've done all the Warlords stuff. I kind of cheesed it a little bit because I have a friend who is all he plays, and he's in a clan that is number 2 in the world for PvE.
Oh, right, okay.
So he just basically blasted me through on the higher difficulty. So I went up 10 levels in a night, I think. So I went from 30 to 40 in one night. So now I'm trying to. I've got a bit of a healer build going on, so I'm just trying to refine that at the moment.
Which come in handy the other day.
It did. So I sit back. I don't do as much damage as I'd like, but I can pretty much heal you from 0 to max in one hit. So
see, I like to try and this is the thing. I like to try and be usually in these games. I like to try and be like more of a sniper build with potential support. Yes. But Division, Jesus, you can. It's hard to be a sniper build in the Division. Really hard because the enemy just move around so frequently. It's like whoop whoop whoop.
That AI is that AI that they put in, and they actually just improved it even more on that last patch. Really did a number. So they are into flanking you if you are not watching.
They are very good at flanking.
Yes, they are. All of a sudden, you'll have guys behind you, and you're like, "What? Where'd they come from?" So definitely dangerous.
That's why I have a chem launcher for the heals and turret right next to me to watch me back in the flanks because you need it.
You got to do that.
Otherwise, I'd run the chem launcher and a hive, so it'd be a double heal or a heal and a revive from distance. But when you're playing on your own, you need
lone wolfing. You got to,
or even as a 2. I'd swap out to a hive if I was in a party of 4. Or if I was actually ever got into a raid and did an 8, I'd swap out to a hive and just sit back. But on 1 or 2 people, then you need that turret.
Yeah, you do.
You need a lot of. What is going on with everybody at night?
Yeah, what's going on?
Is there a massive internet issue over in the Netherlands this evening?
I don't know what's happening. Somebody's hacking us. Yeah, it's the government probably because they mess up big time last couple of days. So I'm not surprised by anything anymore, man.
Yeah. It's me. I'm just going to take over your show. I'm going to get rid of all of you. It's just going to be the Pong Soul Show from here on out.
That's the special prize.
Awesome stuff. But yeah, I think one of the early topics there is definitely seeing the resurgence of some of these older titles. We've seen, especially like the Division 2, I don't think Breakpoint has had the same kind of resurgence recently after its patch. But the Division really has, and of course, so much so that they've decided to, of course, expand on that and bring out further content for the Division 2, which is awesome to see. We've also got, again, as we've seen, Sea of Thieves with continued support and continued huge support. Welcome back, Pat. Nice to see you.
Jesus Christ. It's the government, Pat.
Sure, Pat. Sure, Pat. I get on the show and you just decide to skip out. I see how it is. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man, but
I lagged out as well, eh? I had the same problem, Pat.
Yeah, he crashed out as well. I think someone doesn't want the Netherlands lot to be in here this evening. Dear me. But welcome back, nonetheless. Before we continue with our topics, Pat, we'll introduce yourself. So how are you doing it this week, brother? What you've been playing? What you've been up to?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm super excited today for the podcast because of Pong, of course. It's pretty awesome to have you on the show. And I've been quite busy with work. We had some Women's Day coming up, so a lot of work going on at the moment. And since 2 days, I've been playing the Division 2 that I got from Shomberlon. Thanks again, by the way.
No problem.
And man, I'm enjoying that game a lot. So I'll be playing that for a while, I guess.
Awesome stuff. Have you been playing much more of the Sea of Thieves as well? Because obviously you were playing that the other day. Yeah.
Been playing Sea of Thieves a few times now. It's also pretty awesome to get back on the game, especially on the Series X. And like there are too many games to play, and sometimes I don't know what to play, but just pick one and just play it. Like it's crazy.
Are you looking forward to trying out Little Nightmares 2 as well after completing the first one?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely gonna get Nightmares 2. I've played the demo a few weeks ago. I was really stoked about this game. Played the first one as well, and the second one is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool to play. I watched your stream back this after work that you did, and yeah, man, I cannot wait to play it. So yeah, super excited.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, it's to me it feels much better than the first one. Obviously, it looks a lot better, but I think the atmosphere is also a lot better as well. The controls were going really wild for me when I was playing that before. It's just
but I saw that you had some problems in the beginning, right, with the rope.
Yeah,
I think it took you 10 minutes before you get across.
yeah. Before I got across that rope section, it was really wild.
Pretty
but
funny
no, for some reason, like the character was just sliding around everywhere, even though I wasn't playing this, like pressing the slide button, which was the trigger. Like every time I was sprinting, he just decided to slide. So when the guy was trying to fire it was with a shotgun, I was just slide, and then he would shoot it straight away. I was like, why are you doing this? I just didn't understand whatsoever. But it's a much better game. Like on the first one, you're just stuck in that like little rooms and stuff all the time. But this one's like it's outdoor, and then you go back indoor and things like that. There's just a much better atmosphere about it. So you're not just kind of stuck in a building all the time like you were in the first one. This one's got like a lot more to it. So I'm looking forward to kind of playing more about that as well.
And what I also think is pretty cool that what they added to the game is like you can change your character. So you will find different kind of heads. Yeah. And you can that's one thing I really like about the game as well. You didn't have that in the first one. They put one you can in the demo you can change it one time, and then I saw you have like different kind of heads or that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool that they added it.
Awesome stuff. And before we get into kind of some of the basic topics of the show, it's again not much gaming news per se this week, so we're just going to take it nice and easy and just have a good chat with you lot and talk about video games, what we like, etc. But let's get to know Pong a little bit better then. So Pong, what is I'm interested to know what your kind of start into video gaming was. What was your first gaming console? What was the first game console you owned and played?
Yeah, so I've told a story a lot of places. So gaming has been with me my entire life. So some of my earliest memories in life, probably age 4, age 5, go back to me and my grandpa and my dad playing Pong. Strangely enough, that's why I've got it in my name. But playing Pong with the original paddles on a little 12-inch black and white TV, right? So with the rabbit ears and everything. So, and from there, gaming has been at every stage of my life. So from there, I went to Atari, and on up. So, that's where I got my start. And like I just said, it's been with me through good times and bad. I've never really had a time, even raising families and stuff like that. I've never had a time where I've stopped playing video games. So it's just been a constant in my life since forever. So
yeah, it's very much it's a conduit for kind of getting some you time, isn't it? Sometimes you can just relax, forget about everything else, and just indulge and kind of lose yourself into a game and have some fun, or play with your friends.
Video games provide so many different aspects in life, especially for us older guys who have been been around them for so long. Like they grew up when we were kids. Our kids have now shared in the video game experience. So, like you said, there are moments where you just want to get away from it all. And video games are great for that. And you get that alone time. You get to just space out, put the headphones on, nothing else exists, and you're in your own little world again. And it's like a comfort. It's like a comfortable blanket, right? It's been around you, and you pop that on, and it doesn't matter what system you're playing on, but you pop on a video game, and you just get that feeling, right? And it's always been relaxation for me. And then you got the other side where you share it with other people in your life. So your kids or whatever else. That experience, those memories are going to be there forever. Right. So that's the great part about video gaming. And that's why I'm glad that I've been a part of it. It could have easily gone the other way. Obviously, I went through the bad years when the stigmas and all that kind of stuff were there. And I was bullied and hated on for, liking video games and called a child and all that kind of stuff. And, funnily enough, we won. So, now it's mainstream, right? So people who never would have touched video games now play video games. People who would have thought it was, terrible or nerdy or whatever you wanted to call it back in the day, they're now loving them. And so here we are. And it's great for everybody because now there is a ton of money, ton of interest in the industry. And now we're seeing the fruits of all that. So it was worth it.
Awesome stuff. And we get on to then from your beginnings into your favorite. So what is your favorite gaming console that you've owned to date or own now?
Dreamcast. That's an easy one for me. I'm Sega for life. I became a Sega kid early on, and I never had the Mega Drive. I only had the Genesis or the Master System. Sorry, Master System. I never had that, but I had the Genesis. And once I got the Genesis, that was my end of my relationship with Nintendo. It was Super NES. So still respect them. Got obviously massive respect for their history and what they did, and they were a big part of my early life. But I moved on, and so I became a Sega kid. And Sega was where it was at. And then obviously from the Genesis. I got every single Sega console from there on out, and Dreamcast wound up becoming my favorite. Saturn is a close second. I love the Saturn. Underrated system. Didn't get the support. Sega obviously screwed up that whole entire launch. They screwed up that system badly with what they did with it, but it's still a great system. But the Dreamcast, the amount of games that came out, and that was kind of one of the prime spots for gaming. Like all the companies were hitting on all cylinders at that time, and it seemed like every game that came out was just really good to fantastic. And so the Dreamcast has some of the biggest memories. Plugging into the 56K dial-up modem and playing NBA 2K against somebody in New York. That was insane back then, right? So. Yeah. And I was a bachelor at the time, and me and my buddies had a bachelor pad, and the nights that we spent together on the Dreamcast, man, will never be replaced. Just an awesome system. Sad day when it failed. I still have a little bit of revenge factor when it comes to Sony, but I love Sony too, and what they did. But I do still feel for Sega, and I know it was Sega's fault too. I'm not dumb, but when PlayStation did kill off the Dreamcast, I was a little sad.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that was very sad with that, and I've got a lot of PlayStation. A lot of Dreamcast kind of mega fans on here as well.
Yes.
But it's they did at that time, the Dreamcast was well overachieving what any other console was doing.
Yes.
It was so ahead of its time. Ahead of its time. And that was part of its downfall. There's been so many times, especially, of course, you probably remember, was it PlayStation nearly teamed up with Nintendo originally?
Correct.
To create the first CD.
Correct.
CD game console, and that fell down the drain, and that's when PlayStation 1
broke off and said, we're going to do our own thing now. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping us invest in this technology. We're going to go ahead and move on now.
We
appreciate you. Dreamcast itself, it's funny because not everybody had a Dreamcast. Dreamcast sold well, but it wasn't, it wasn't the Switch, right? Not everybody had a Dreamcast, but it was funny because, again, I had a bachelor pad, so we had people over all the time. And even the non-gamers back then who looked at us sideways when they saw all the game systems that I owned, they'd sit down and we'd throw in those 4 controllers, and we'd sit down. And we'd sit down and we'd play, whether it was 2K or whether it was Ready to Rumble or whatever the heck we were playing at the time. And people were just blown away. They were like, wow, this is really fun. And yes, it is. And it was just, it was one of those systems that anybody that's put their hands on it and played some of the games is just, it leaves a lasting memory with them.
Yeah, definitely underrated.
Yes.
100% underrated. Going on to modern consoles then, how have you went from, obviously, your favorite console, Dreamcast? What was going from there? What's your route been? What kind of console
Yeah.
direction did you head in?
So I was already in my 20s at that point. Again, I'm an old guy. So I was buying all my own systems and that kind of stuff. You know, I've owned the Atari Jaguar. I've owned the bad system. So I learned early on that these companies had to earn my money, right? And they had to show me something, right? So I don't play favorites. I always have a preferred system each generation, but it's never been one. I've never been just diehard loyal. Maybe Sega, you could say it, but I also played Sony. I owned all the systems that I could, right? So for me, it's not about, it's about what are you going to do for me? If I'm going to give you my money, you better be providing me something. So from that point on, you know, I did the PlayStations, obviously. Xbox, the OG Xbox, I had never owned an OG Xbox, right? I had buddies who had them and brought them over. We did the LAN parties. We did the Halo. We did all of that.
Yeah.
Loved the system, but I never saw enough in it. I'm a casual Halo fan. I like Halo. I played them all. I love them, but I'm not a fanatic. So it never really pushed me to buy an OG Xbox. So I did the PlayStation thing. They had I'm a huge RPG guy. So of course, PlayStation was dominating with JRPGs. Yeah. I mean, it basically took over where Sega left off in a lot of ways. And so I got my fill there. And then when the 360 hit, and it was 360 or PS3, and I was, again, I had owned my PlayStations up to that point. And I saw what PS3 did. They came out with the price point. They were pushing the cell architecture. Back then, the internet wasn't really a big thing, right? You were scrounging for information or waiting for the magazines to come out so you could get 2-month-old information, right? So I did my homework, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this PS3. So I went 360. Fell in love instantly, right? Fell in love. All the reasons why I did like my buddy's OG Xbox were just taken up to the next level with the 360, right? So Xbox Live, all that stuff, heavy into 360. And obviously the 360 benefited from Sony's missteps back then. They wound up getting all these, console exclusives at the time because nobody wanted to, or nobody could really take advantage of that cell processor in the PS3. So all of these games that showed up on 360 and never showed up on Sony's. So I enjoyed the 360. I was raising my son at the time. Him and I got, I had a controller in his hand from the time he was 4. So the 360 was a part of his life from early on. Loved the 360. Wound up getting the PS3 late in the generation. Caught up on all the games I missed. The Last of Us came out. One of my top 10 games of all time, the first Last of Us, caught up on all those games. And that's kind of the way I've done it ever since. Last generation, 2013 rolls around. I'm a huge Xbox guy. Xbox, I'm ready set to get the Xbox One, right? I'm ready. I'm locked in. That's it. All of a sudden they start their messaging and I start hearing things about what they're doing. And I'm like, where are we going with this? I start seeing good old Don Matrick up there trying to explain to me. TV. Exactly. Trying to explain to me why I shouldn't, or maybe not trying to explain to me why I shouldn't care about gaming, but all of a sudden why I should care about my cable more. And I'm like,
and Phil Harrison.
No. Right.
Phil Harrison was also there, right?
Yes, Phil Harrison was also there. He touched that. Oh, jeez. So anyway, so they started that nonsense, and I started having questions. PlayStation obviously was going to go the same way. They let Microsoft trip up, right? We know that now. The stories are out. Sony was going to do almost the exact same thing. They let Microsoft trip up, delayed their conference even to announce, changed everything, and came out and said, no. We're the opposite. We just want you for your games. No DRM, no packed in camera connect thing. Come play games, right? And obviously the rest is history. So I went PlayStation first, the PS4 last generation. Loved my PS4, got back into all my JRPGs again, all that stuff. Played everything there. My son converted back over to PlayStation at that point. So we were playing together on PlayStation. And I kept looking at Microsoft because I really liked some of their games and I wanted to get back to it. And then sure enough, everything kind of goes down and Phil takes over and all of a sudden he comes out with Game Pass. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, all right. okay, now I see you guys, you know, and they pick up Obsidian and all that kind of stuff. So finally, towards about 2018, I think, end of 2017, 2018, I finally hopped back in Xbox, and I'm green again, baby. So, you know, you can call me a flip-flopper. I just tell you, I go where my money is valued, right? And Microsoft right now is showing me with hands down that my money is valued to them. And what they are giving me in return with Game Pass, I don't care what argument, I don't care what you bring up. I'm just going to laugh at you if you try to tell me that Game Pass is not the best value, maybe in all of entertainment right now, especially for us hardcore gamers who like to play a ton of games. I'm not one of those guys that just buys Call of Duty or just buys the exclusives. I play everything, or I'll try everything. So for me, Xbox is winning hand down. I'm back all green again. I'll get a PS5 later in this generation. I always do. I'll play the exclusives. You know, I love what Sony does over there. They've got their formula down pat, and I'm not taking anything away from Sony. But this generation, Xbox won my wallet. So here I am.
Yeah, most definitely. So what is your favorite franchise then? Favorite game, favorite franchise? You mentioned JRPGs as a big love.
Yeah, so this is near impossible, man. You would have to break this down by genre, and then maybe even have subgenres to those genres, because my history goes so far back. It's like, dude, where do I start? Okay, so you know, let me name off a few for you, right? So we got the Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls is huge. I love my JRPGs, but I am just as in love with Western RPGs.
So that Bethesda purchase has been a big one for you then.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I don't care. I don't care if they're exclusive or not. Obviously, we can talk the business side of things, and obviously, I believe the business side, you got to keep them exclusive. But even if they didn't do that, to know that they're going to be day one in Game Pass for me,
it's just insane.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't care. Bioshock. Another huge series, and I think one of the greatest trilogies of all time. You know, and Bioshock 1 is probably the closest thing to a perfect game you can get. Red Dead Redemption. I love the first one. The second one didn't hit as well for me. And again, I'm a big nostalgia guy, so forgive me. People always like to say, you know, Mass Effect series. Mass Effect 1 is still the best for me. I can hear your arguments on Mass Effect 2, but there's just something about the originals that hit. So those are some big series for me. Like I mentioned, The Last of Us, huge. You know, and then JRPG wise, you know, I gotta go. It's very hard. I like Final Fantasy. It's not. It doesn't. Final Fantasy X is my favorite one. I'm not one of the Final Fantasy VII fanatics, and I don't get into those arguments. I like what Final Fantasy does, but Final Fantasy X for me was the best. I gotta go back to like Shining Force days. I don't know if you guys remember those, the Shining Force days. Skies of Arcadia, another huge one.
Vin will love you for that one.
Yes, I know.
All-time games.
Yeah, Skies of Arcadia is great. Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, obviously fantastic JRPGs.
But again, a lot of these, especially Chrono Trigger, that's another Square Enix game. So
no,
is it not?
Yeah, Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah.
Chrono Trigger. Yeah, Chrono Trigger is. Sorry, I misheard you. But yeah, so but as far as getting it down to like one or two games, it's near impossible for me. I really can't do it unless you're going to break it down by genre, and then I'd have to really think about it.
Would you, on the JRPG front then, would you like to see Microsoft jump more back into that? Obviously, they had Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon.
Yes, I've been calling for this forever. Whatever they got to do, and I know Phil's on board. Phil's a huge JRPG guy too. He knows it's a niche genre, and I understand that not everybody enjoys JRPGs. However, when you look at a catalog of games from a company, right? When you look at Sony, they span everything. When you look at Xbox, they have some very strong categories. But JRPGs in the Japanese genre, I love the crazy, wacky stuff, right? Yakuza Like a Dragon is one of the best JRPGs to come out in years, right? And people are finally discovering it. But that's the kind of stuff that Phil needs to continue to bring here, and they need to focus on. And I love Lost Odyssey is absolutely amazing, right? truest classic style JRPG that you could find on the Xbox 360. Blue Dragon is right there too. That goes back a little bit further. But what I'm saying is that kind of updated style, right, of JRPG. That was utterly fantastic story. Everything about it was great, and they should have revisited a long time ago. I hope they go back, but you know, with Microsoft, there's a lot of IPs that they probably should revisit that are just sitting there, and that's kind of that's another problem, another criticism I have, that Sony and Nintendo, especially, of course, Nintendo, they don't have that issue. They seem to go back and revisit a lot of their IPs, and I think Microsoft should do more of that for sure. So,
100%, 100%. And that kind of brings us on to the next one then, obviously, with your kind of rough favorite games then, nicely. Thankfully. What would PlayStation, or what do PlayStation have to do then to win your money later in that generation, or later in this generation?
You know, they're going to earn my business. You know, like I said, I'll get one eventually just on their exclusives alone, because that formula is there. But Microsoft has now changed the game, okay? And Nintendo can do their own thing. They're always going to swim in their own pond, and that doesn't, you know, there's a couple games on Nintendo I wish I had, you know, Xenosaga and stuff like that I wish I could go ahead and jump into, but it's just not worth it. Fire Emblem is another one that I miss. You know, I played Fire Emblems a lot. But I really think now that Microsoft has changed the game, Sony, for me, they need to catch up. You know, they could go the route of Nintendo, and I've said this before as well, that if they choose not to do the streaming services, they choose not to make a Game Pass style service, then what will happen is they will wind up being niche too. They have the exclusives and they have the studios to go the Nintendo route, right? And have that continue really hardcore fan base that is always going to be there with them, just like Nintendo, right? They have that already established. If they actually want to move forward in the future and they want to be able to compete with the numbers that, you know, Microsoft is eventually going to Xbox is going to eventually put up with Game Pass, that we can see happening already, they're going to have to come up with a service like that. They've dabbled here and there, obviously with the offerings with the PS Plus, but to do day and date, I don't know if they can afford it. I don't know if they can afford it with every one of their games, but maybe they get selective. You know, maybe like Destruction All-Stars that they just did, where they just, you know, make it free for the first couple months and then pull it back. You know, maybe they can do that every once in a while with one of their AAAs, right?
Yeah.
But to compete at this level, they're going to need a whole lot more studios. That's what Microsoft is doing, and they can't put out the content that's necessary to feed that type of service in order to keep it going consistently. And I think that's where the real issue is. But they'll get my money eventually. I'll wait for a price drop, maybe a mid-gen refresh. If they decide to go ahead and do that, maybe that's when I'll pick it up. You know, I had my digital edition. I actually did pre-order it, and I picked it up from GameStop, but I wound up having to sell it because 2020 being 2020, I could not justify keeping both, and you know, and not, you know, the money went to help some of the bills in the family, right? So I couldn't justify keeping it then, but they will get it. They will get my money. So
yeah, no, I completely agree. I think obviously, I think Erwin might have been one that had one on pre-order originally. I was one of the ones that had one on pre-order originally, a digital edition, but I ended up cancelling mine. That was mainly down to just the lack of content that I was interested in on launch. I was really, as I mentioned before we started, I was really waiting for that Ratchet and Clank to kind of be that launch title, and that would have cemented my initial launch day. But as soon as I knew that date wasn't coming around, they still hadn't announced it, I was like, it's like a month beforehand now. It's too late. Yeah. And it was like, cancel. Somebody who really wants that console can have that console. Like,
that's perfectly said, because for me, again, Spider-Man was good. It wasn't fantastic to me, so that's not a draw. Miles Morales wasn't a draw. Demon Souls, I played the original back on PS3. I don't do Souls games anymore. So I'm too old. I don't have the patience to sit there and get my butt kicked over and over and over and over again. I'm just not like that. I'm not built that way anymore, so I don't care. So those two are out of the way. Ratchet and Clank is a fun, great title. I love the series, just not a system buy for me. So really all I would have been doing was getting the PS5 for, upgrades to God of War. And really, I did not play Ghost of Tsushima. I sold my PS4 before that. So that's the one game I do want to go back and play. But again, not enough to justify my purchase out the gates. There just wasn't. Yeah,
exactly. And I completely know the feeling. Like the problem I've got with these large open world games as well is there's so many of them right now as well.
Get ready. There's going to be more. There's going to be an avalanche 2022, 2023.
Literally just.
Then you will never finish a game.
No.
I don't anymore.
It's one of the main reasons I haven't had the chance to finish Ghost of Tsushima yet either. It's because, again, I've just finished Valhalla. I've just finished Cyberpunk's first playthrough. And then I've, again, just done the medium. But then you've got also games like when I do get it, which will be Yakuza Like a Dragon, which that's one of the games I want to play. I know it's a turn-based system as well this time now, which is, for me, it's awesome.
You have
turn-based JRPGs.
Oh, you will die for this then. It's amazing.
So when I get that, that'll be awesome. But going into another Ubisoft open world game again. I've played, I've probably got about 10 hours into Ghost of Tsushima, but it's just another open world Ubisoft-y kind of game, and I'm like, I don't have the mindset to just jump into another one of them again and go hunting for things. And it's same stuff, different platform, skinned over again. It's good, but again, I wouldn't have bought, that wasn't the reason I bought a PlayStation in the first place last gen. The reason I bought a PlayStation was God of War. 100% God of War sold me on that.
Yep.
And that they didn't have, like you mentioned, Demon Souls, not for me.
Right.
Just not I've got the Dark Souls games on Xbox and I've played maybe about 10 minutes and I was like,
yeah.
First of all, I've got no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
Where I'm going. Or what the objective is of this game. I'm out.
Your objective is to die a lot, Dutch. You just got to die a lot.
Until you eventually get to the end by some miracle.
Right.
And you pay a lot as well for the game itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's actually starting to piss me off even more, right? The same with Ratchet and Clank. They asked like £70 or what is it?
Yeah,
so probably then 80
British,
euros. I don't know if they count it back in euros. But it started to piss me off as well because maybe because we are spoiled with Game Pass, right? That we just have a subscription and everything launches in Game Pass. But if you going to buy the new console, it's 500 because I wanted this version. Then you need to buy 2 or 3 games and then maybe an extra controller as well. Fucking hell, man, that's a lot of money, huh?
Yeah. Yep. It's just absolutely obscene. You come, especially on payday and things like that. You've got to think all bills and things first. Get all the bills, utility bills, etc., paid for first and foremost, right? Then you've got food, right? Get food sorted. And then it's what have I got left over for me? What can I officially spare this month? Exactly. Once you get to that point, if I've got 80, do I spend 80 on a console that's going to get me 2-3 games for 80? Or PlayStation where I'm going, okay, 1 game, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
A game.
Right.
And then also the My OnlyFans of Vincent.
Yeah. Yeah. But that, like you mentioned, that is the problem. If I got the PlayStation 5, even if it's mid-year, I'd be getting the PlayStation 5. I'd have all my BC games back compatible. Brilliant.
Yes.
But again, I'm purchasing that game for its new content. I have a PlayStation 4 Pro sitting behind us, and I can play those games already. Great, they're going to have extra frames and all that. But I'm buying that PlayStation 5 for new content. So I'd be picking the game up, getting Ratchet and Clank, and then sitting on backwards compatible games once I finish that until God of War or Horizon comes out, which I think is still next year. I don't think in any way, shape, or form those games are coming out this year. I just don't see it happening.
You think both are delayed?
I think both will get delayed. I cannot. I mean, Horizon is is the one I suspect might be this year if it does.
Yes.
But God of War, the fact that there has been zilch, not a peep. It's just a logo. That is not getting released this year. Horizon itself, the engine was there, like the world itself was there, the mechanics were there. It's more of a refinement. I still think Horizon's going to be cross-gen.
Yeah,
I think God of War will be next.
100%. Oh, you think God of War is going to stay next, huh? Only?
I think
no, I think God of War's got to be both.
Yeah,
it's there's too much money involved.
Exactly.
Because if you think let's say it's released spring next year, how many consoles do you think they've realistically sold? 10, 12 million maybe. And that I'm maybe lowballing it simply because of production. That's not because people don't want them, because it's how many they can make.
Yeah.
So you've got 12 million versus 120 million.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Maybe it's more for people who haven't been able to get a PlayStation 5.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things. It's kind of like when you look at the percentage of people who actually bought it, was 8 to 10% of the player base bought the game. Now, if you transfer that over to 12 million, then that's a massive thing. And I'm guessing it's not going to be a cheap game to make.
No. Definitely not.
So that's the whole thing. This is what we said beforehand when they were always going on about we believe in generations. It's like, it's crap. You don't believe in generations because the money dictates that you can't believe in generations.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they've admitted at this point when they came out and said they're going to support it for another 3-4 years. So
there's a reason why you didn't get the huge heavy hitters in previous generations until 4 years onwards, because they needed to build that player base up.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I think, like you mentioned there, you have got a point. It's mainly down to just how many people have that unit, and I think Corona not being a factor. If they were pressing out and they didn't have production issues due to Corona and supply issues, supply and demand, and then you've also got the supply and demand isn't just on production. Obviously, they haven't have less people employed or less people working the shifts to have that distance that you're meant to have in the workplace at the minute. But also then having like we have with Brexit, the amount of delays we have getting things into the country now from international or out of the country from it for international is just obscene. So all of that stuff, and that's worldwide now with Corona, everything is having to go into quarantine for a couple of days and then get shipped off, or so on and so forth. It's just insane. If that wasn't there, this conversation would be different. I think if that wasn't there and these issues weren't around, you'd be seeing the original tagline that PlayStation wanted to go for, which was, we believe in generations, push out as many consoles as we possibly can in the first quarter. If they get like 15, 20 million, then they'll be like, right, okay, this is just next gen only. Like all the stuff we produce, we'll just forget what we've had and do that. But because they can't, and both consoles are sitting around like 3.5 to 5 million so far, and then both of them have said we don't expect to have new like real stock updates until June earliest. I think that's when PlayStation really said, right, okay, we can't not support the last gen because of what's happened. We can't get the consoles out quick enough, so we're going to have to make sure these work on PS4 Pro, Xbox One, etc. But then we also see Microsoft are still doing, like with Hellblade, like with a few of their other big projects, like all of the big projects Microsoft have announced on next gen only. So your Forza Motorsport next gen only, Hellblade 2 next gen only, Fable next gen only, Avowed next gen only, like all of the big projects.
Flight Simulator,
Flight Sim next gen only.
Yeah.
That's from a technical aspect. I don't.
100%.
Can you imagine them trying to put that on the OG, on the VCR?
it's like Minecraft,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Like you might just have like a stick plane, like just
The original Flight Sim.
Yes.
The original one. We're just porting that. We're not even going to port the new one. We're just porting the old Flight Sim.
Right, with static weather. You'll just have like clouds just sitting there. That's it. That's all you'll get.
But at least it'd be authentic, because you'd get the machine would make the sound of the plane engine for you.
That's true too.
So,
God, yeah. You'd have the sound, but nothing would be happening on screen. It would just froze.
Yeah. No, I think you're going to see a lot. This generation is going to be insane. I can't wait. Just talking about this, and you've heard Jim Ryan come out and say that they're looking. See, the thing is that Sony benefited during the PlayStation 4 era, right? From Microsoft basically having no studios, right?
Yeah.
Basically, they knew.
4 or 5?
Yeah. Right. 3, 4 or 5. And so Sony knew, like, if they just put out, 2 AAA games here and there, like spaced out through the year or whatever the case may be, or 1 each year, they had the knowledge that Microsoft would not be able to match that, right? That they would
embarrassing.
Right. Correct. It was absolutely. But now Sony, and especially Jim Ryan, and again, Jim Ryan is Jim Ryan. He's a business guy through and through. He's not a gamer, right? I think we can tell that up front. He probably dabbles, but he's not a gamer. But now he, from a business standpoint, sees what Microsoft is doing, and all these people can shout from the rooftops until they're blue in the face and fall off and hit the pavement below that that Xbox has no games, right? The business people and all of us who see it's plain as day, it's already written on the wall with all these acquisitions and all these studios. The content is coming. These games are coming. It's going to be a tsunami of games. At some point, whether it's 2022, 2023, Microsoft Studios are going to be putting out a AAA or a AA high-quality game once every 3 months, right? Into Game Pass. And Sony cannot compete with that. They do not have the teams. And even if they buy some teams now, they're not going to be able to buy the number of teams necessary to kind of produce that. So Jim came out and said, look, we've got to reevaluate what we're doing here. We cannot continue just to put out AAA games that take 4 to 7 years to produce and expect to compete. He even talked about starting smaller AAA games like Horizon, like the possibility of God of War or Miles Morales, these more expansion type games that are still high quality AAA games, but they're going to be much shorter in length, which means a much smaller production team, which means a much smaller time frame that it takes them to get out, just so they can have games coming out on a regular basis. So I think that Sony fans should definitely expect to see a shift to a smaller production style game. It's still going to be Sony quality. Don't get me wrong. We're not talking about all of a sudden they're going to be pumping out fodder all the time, right? This is still going to be Naughty Dog. It's still going to be Santa Monica. It's going to be all your favorites, but they're going to put out smaller experiences that they can continue to put out maybe once every 2 years, maybe once every 18 months. They're going to give you another little taste of something, right? And I think that's where Sony's going to transition to, because they know they can't compete in terms of volume that Microsoft it's coming. This tsunami is coming. Game Pass right now is ridiculous. I can't even imagine if they get Ubisoft in there. There's going to be no point. All the narratives, all the talking points that everybody's had now for this whole entire last generation and now through this first few months of this generation are going to be wiped out, and there's going to be nothing left to say. Game Pass is going to be the ultimate experience for gamers. Period. I don't care what side you're on. Diehard Sony fans are not going to be able to look over to the other side and say, "Yeah, I just don't see the value there." You're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft have been really clever because they've come from a position of extreme weakness in having what they had, and they've really stolen a march. They've really they've started to acquire this, they've acquired that, and they're like, oh yeah, but they're not going to be for a couple of years. But when you say once every quarter, that's based on what they have now, and they're still looking to acquire.
Correct.
So I know he's like, oh, wait until E3, wait until the end, wait for this, wait for that. End of the generation, there might be a AAA to AA every month, every 2 months, because they'll have the studios to do that.
Yes, absolutely, Sean. You hit the nail on the head. I think personally they got to shoot. I think personally internally they're probably shooting for 30 plus studios and 50 plus teams. I can guarantee you that's what they're shooting for, to make sure that Game Pass is consistently filled. And again, because they're going for they're not looking at one piece of the pie, they're looking at the whole pie. They want everybody, and they want everybody to come over, and they want everybody to look at Game Pass and go, why am I not giving you my $15 a month? Why am I not doing that? That's 3 games a year, 2.5 games with Sony's new pricing, right? who wouldn't do it, right? If you've got all these day and date, AAA games coming out, like you said, Shom, maybe once every month, maybe once every 2 months, maybe once every 3 months. Why would you not give them your $15 a month? Even if they raise it to 20, why would you not give them $20 a month? There's no way. It's going to be undeniable, the value.
But it will be a perfect balance also, right? With multiplayer games and single player games, and that's the really good part of it, because you have now Halo that is still being supported, right? After how many years it's out, like 5 or 6 years. Sea of Thieves, you have such games that will draw people back in constantly because they want to grind, they want to hang out with their friends, etc. But you also want those single player narrative driven games like Hellblade, and if they find the right balance in that, man, we're gonna be up for a really nice ride, for sure.
But this is where Microsoft was saying that they don't see Sony as the competition; they see the Googles and the Amazons.
Not Google anymore.
Google not anymore, right?
Well, yeah. This is the thing. I think this is why Microsoft have been really clever, because they've turned themselves into a colossus that people looked at and go, you know what? I'm not messing with that. I don't have the cash or either I don't have the cash or I don't have the connections to buy the studios.
It's not really. It's not just the cash though. It's more the expendable cash, isn't it? We have the money, but is that money we can really afford to just let go of? That's the difference. Like, but Sony have a lot of money. They've got a lot of money coming in now. A couple of years back, you couldn't have said that because the TVs were failing. All of the different electronics weren't doing well. It was literally PlayStation that kept them afloat. If PlayStation didn't do as well as they did last gen, Sony would not be where they are now. And that's just an undeniable fact for Sony as a company. So they have to rely. And now, thankfully, they've got back on a more of an even keel. But at one point last generation, if it wasn't for PlayStation, there would be no Sony. It would literally undeniable.
I still think people might be taking the Stadia thing that they're out too early. I've got a sneaky feeling that, they've ditched these studios, but what they might do is start to buy pre-made studios. So they've given up on trying to make their own, but they might look to buy Ubisoft or something where everything is in place and they carry on as normal, but for Stadia. So I think it's a little bit early to count Stadia out.
I think Stadia's... They've given up on their own because they see it as far less. They can just pay somebody else to do the job.
Yeah,
essentially, without having to manage and then
keep
an eye on. And then keep an eye on things like overheads for staff and paying wages and who's in charge of that studio. That's nothing to do with them. They'd rather pay that second, third party deal money and go, right, okay, here's X amount of money, go make that game. Or go make us an exclusive.
I think Sony need to start acting quick, though, because it's not just Microsoft and Google and possibly Amazon that are in the waters at the moment. You've got Tencent. Tencent is going to be, if people aren't careful, are going to be snapping things up. So if Sony doesn't act soon, they'll get in a bidding war that they won't win a bidding war against Tencent.
Yeah, I mean,
Microsoft would struggle.
Easy.
The problem you've got as well, Sony, especially at the beginning of this generation, is the two major releases to launch with PlayStation 5 have been from one studio that's kept their launch going. That's Insomniac. If Insomniac hadn't launched or launching Ratchet and Clank and Miles Morales within the opening window, that would be
maar wat moet je dan doen?
Such a drop. Such a drop.
But then we had it like
Matt really doesn't want to be here today.
out.
But then we had like an Xbox launch, Drew, because if we are honest,
obviously
Xbox launch with anything also, right? I mean,
we launched with nothing, but
yes,
Xbox have also they started last generation with great games, good exclusives, but went to the end of that generation with next to nothing. I mean, they had quite a few good games and things like that, but it was kind of a mediocre year, and there was quite a lot of people that were on the verge of saying, right, just jump over to PlayStation. But again, if it wasn't for that, and this is where it comes in Microsoft thinking we need to correct this. There's like this studio. The reason we're all hyped for that is because it's not just because they're buying studios. It's because specifically, welcome back again. Specifically, they're correcting problems that they know they had. They had a severe lack of content and consistency in content. Sony, unfortunately, have now got, or might have, that same issue with what Xbox had. They've got, 7 studios, 8 studios in total. Naughty Dog have only just, at the tail end of last year, finished The Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 released, of course. Loved and hated in equal measure. It ended up being their best game ever. But they've only just finished that game, so the next game won't be due out for another 3.5 years.
And they still have fans multiplayer.
One major studio is completely away from that now.
Well, it's supposed to be a new franchise as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
So it's going to be, you can't use your old assets because it's going to be a sci-fi thing. So you can't take assets from your previous games and kind of edit them slightly and put them into a new game. It's going to be a completely different thing. So you're starting from bare bones scratch.
So exactly, so that's one studio that's miles away from completion. So there's no content from that studio for a while. Then you've got Sony Santa Monica, God of War. Yep. You've got Horizon Zero Dawn, brilliant. There's 2 major franchises still going. And then you've got Insomniac, which is carrying Sony right now. Of course, you've got a remaster in Demon's Souls that launched with it. You had third-party and second-party deals with the likes of Godfall, which is timed exclusive. But again, Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank, keeping that fan base kind of content in the meantime, which is why they're going so gung-ho on these third-party timed exclusives to keep them going.
Don't you think that Naughty Dog is also a little bit split up because they made Uncharted 4, right, and the DLC, but also working on The Last of Us 2? So I think the team is so huge, and it is actually, and they just split up, right? So I don't have the feeling that they, for sure, another Last of Us 3, let's say, that will take plenty of years, but there will be something differently, unless they're gonna make an Uncharted 5, which I don't think they will, or maybe they do, I don't know. But that can be maybe quite sooner than we think, right?
I mean, it was 7 from the first Last of Us to the second one. It was 7 years, so obviously it's quite a distance in between it. And obviously in between that, Naughty Dog's kind of list of games are good games, but much smaller in value and quality compared to what they have done. So really, it's their next major AAA title. What's that going to be? Are they going to revive Jak and Daxter? Are they going to do another Uncharted? Again, you mentioned this like a sci-fi route that they're going down. Either or, 3 major games from the company: Last of Us, Uncharted series, and Jak and Daxter. So if they're doing something new, like Sean mentioned, that's brand new assets starting from scratch. It's not anytime soon. It's but either or. If you've got half your team, for instance, for Last of Us, and Uncharted came out 2 years before Last of Us 2. If you're doing kind of another game kind of in that segment, yes, you can use some assets from some other games and things like that, make it a little bit easier. But I would think surely they're going to be pulling gung-ho on at least getting the majority of this new game with the full team done, and then splitting off halfway through production, saying, right, okay, you go and start on the next game. We've got the core, and then the rest of the team can finish this one. I just think they need to, and it sounds stupid, but they do need to invest in some more first party themselves, or be stuck into this now. What could be maybe only 2 major AAA games a year.
But that's the point, Drew. If they score like a 90 or close to, and people are satisfied, right? And that's the only thing that Microsoft needs to do is release the next 3 games that they make, first party AAAs, score around the 90 Metacritic, and then you're in as well, because then you have the narrative with you. And now you just expect if a Sony title releases, even if it's maybe a AA or like a Returnal. I see Returnals are going to score pretty well as well. So only if they release maybe 2 or 3 games in the next coming 2 years or 3 years, maybe even. If they score high, then you have the narrative again with you, right? So people are happy, people satisfied. They play the multiplots on the system as well till the next game come. Maybe they have some third-party exclusive deal again, right? And then they can tag along. Only Sony is in a very different position than Microsoft is. Microsoft needs to really prove gamers that they can, and Sony already did. So they just need to continue, just make a couple games that is 90 plus on Metacritic, and then everybody goes crazy again, right? But Microsoft have everything to prove because, the last 3 or 4 years were pretty mediocre, right? We get 69 titles and everything like that. But if it doesn't matter in the end, but the narrative is there, and they need to destroy the narrative to make three games like Halo Infinite. I'm so happy that they delayed it because it needs to be around a 90 Metacritic. If they don't do it, fuck man, then you get the same shit again. Really.
The problem I've got is I still think no matter what they do with the Halo franchise going forward, and this is it's not media bias, but I think Xbox itself have got a stigma. Like Forza Horizon's been the only outstanding franchise that have released recently. If you exclude Ori, obviously that's not a AAA title, but if you exclude Ori, Forza Horizon's been the only one to achieve that 90 plus Metacritic for Xbox for a very long time.
Yeah,
I don't think Halo, regardless of how good we all think that is as fans of the series, I don't think it's going to hit it. I think it'll probably be reviewed at something like mid to high 80s.
I don't know, man. I don't know. If you look at Forza Horizon, it is really a high quality game.
Oh,
so it really deserves that score.
Yeah.
And I think with Halo, if they polish it and they have more like the open world stuff going on, right? More the RPG stuff in the single player at least. Man, you just need to really make a good game and people will give you a good review. I'm positive of that, 100%. But you need to deliver a good game.
Yeah.
And how much fun CFTs is, right? It will never be a 90 or a 95. I think the score between a 7.5 and 8 is good for a CFT, but it never have to score a 9 because it just, the production value is not there if you compare it to The Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or whatever. Yeah. But they just need to pump out a really high quality game, and only thing that they can do is just to develop it and make it happen. And then I'm for sure that there won't be any media bias because Horizon is just a freaking good game and it gets a 90 plus. If they scored it lower, then I'm thinking like, hey, there's something going on. But Forza Horizon is really high quality and it gets the high number, right, on Metacritic. So
yeah,
I'm more skeptical to that part about the media bias. You just need to deliver. Easy.
Oh no, I wasn't. Like I say, it was not to do with being media bias. I don't think that's what I was getting at there. It was more kind of it's more a thing of expecting Xbox to deliver kind of sort of mediocre games. It's having that mindset going in as a reviewer of knowing PlayStation are going to deliver, playing the game, and that game is near what you expect for that game in terms of quality and polish, and the game actually how beautiful that game is, and then going in based on Xbox's own history, their own fault, going Halo 5 was a bit of a, I mean the campaign was the gameplay was brilliant, the multiplayer was good, yes, but the story let it down. And then going in with the same mindset in Halo 8, you know what I mean? Those same reviewers will be going in, oh God, I hope this is better than Halo 5. But already having that, and you know how reviewers work, and they all do the same.
But, they set for a Halo game, they set the bar pretty low, right? The reasons you mentioned. So if they improve on that part, how in the hell are they going to score it on the same number than Halo 5, for example? I would be super surprised. But, they need to prove themselves, so let's bring it on.
I think with a lot of people, though, is they some people just don't like Halo. They just kind of go, that's another Halo. I've seen things with nothing's changed. It's just like Halo 5 is completely different to Halo 4, yet some reviews were saying it's just a copy and paste. How do you do that? But I think things like Metacritic just needs to die for the benefit of the gaming industry. It's too heavily relied on as what is a marker of a good game. And it's funny that all these people spouting how good Destruction All Stars is how much fun it is. But when you look at the Metascore, they're the same people spouting that they only ever play 90 games. So it's the whole thing needs to die.
But the score is then fair, right? For destruction.
Well, see, that's where I kind of have to agree with Shom on that one. It says it's fair, but then there's a lot of people that are enjoying it, but understand the content isn't quite there. So the user reviews are low. The Metascore is really low. I mean, for a PlayStation title, 63 currently sitting at with a user score of 5.4. That's so low for them. But again, they put it free with PS Plus. But when that drops out of PS Plus, which it will in a couple of months, and people pick up the PlayStation for the first time,
nobody
in a
will
couple
buy
of months' time, are you going to pay $70 for that?
Fuck no.
I always find with Metacritic as well, it always amuses me when you've got the big games, you have your Last of Us and things like that, how all of a sudden you get these sites you've never heard of giving it 10s, like Billy Bob's Reviews, 10, 100, genius, brilliant. And then you get like the Halos, and it's these other sites you never heard of, 3 out of 10. Fundamentally broken game, and you're like, where do these people come from? They never review anything else apart from these big games, and they just completely destroy the scores for stuff.
I think the style,
for instance, I was going to say one of the reviews on here was 90 from Game Crate. Destruction All Stars may not be a killer app that sells you on a PS5, but anyone who owns a PS5 will be happy to add it to the library. It's definitely one of the best perks of owning a PS5. That's not a review of the game. That's just it's a free game, so give it a 90.
A 90.
And I think the style of game also dictates things so much these days. Like back in the day, I remember with magazines, like it didn't matter if they were reviewing a first-person shooter, if they were reviewing a top-down JRPG turn-based. They had a standard, that they didn't show. Like if they personally did not like a JRPG, they still reviewed it fairly neutral, right?
Yeah.
They looked at it, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays, if it's not a third-person, over-the-shoulder, single-player experience with a deep narrative that's delving into the psyche of humanity, it's an uphill battle to get a fair rating out of a lot of these places. And I wouldn't call it a bias per se just against Xbox. I mean, again, look at Days Gone for PlayStation. Reviewed terribly, right? And it was the same formula. But people loved it. But it was the same formula that Sony's well known for, but it's still reviewed bad. So, I'm not going to go so far. Obviously, the preferred place to play right now is Sony. Okay, it has been. They stole the narrative. They stole everything. That's fine. That's going to happen. We are all human beings, right? So we're all going to have our favorites. That's just the way life is. But I just think for like the Halos and, look at Call of Duty's. Call of Duty's review not very mediocre well. I mean, mediocre, but my God, right? It's Call of Duty. Everybody buys it. Everybody plays it. Cold War, you either hate it or you love it, right? But it's still like number 20th best-selling title already, like in history, just because. So I just think a game like Halo, just naturally by itself, because it has a single-player experience, and this time around they are going to try something new with this open world, so we're going to really see how this goes. And then you have a multiplayer experience as well on top of it, right? To have those two together, it's going to be an uphill battle to get good reviews. Again, if it comes out polished, if it plays well, if the multiplayer is up to par, which is what I shouldn't say everybody, but most people buy Halo for is the multiplayer. If the multiplayer is up to par and it hits right, I think, like Dutch said, I think you can expect mid, maybe upper 80s on that. I don't think a Halo, unless they come out with like a single player game like ODST that's extremely refined with a deep, deep, deep story, I don't think you're ever going to push that into the 90s, overall. You're going to get some people who review it very high, but you're also going to get some people who just aren't interested in it or just don't find it compelling enough to say, hey, this is this type of score. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I think that's part of it too.
One of the things I hate about modern reviewing as well is you get people who review games that despise the genre that they're reviewing. It's just like, I can't remember what game it was. I think it might have been Halo Wars 2 or something. And the person, and it might have been, I think it's Kotaku or Polygon. They started the review saying, I hate this genre of games. I don't like it. And they gave it a low score. And it's just like, what do you expect? You're reviewing a game.
Then you will never like it. Yeah.
Right.
So
would never learn.
what are they doing putting this person on reviewing a game?
It doesn't make any sense.
Especially nowadays when people's bonuses from companies are determined on Metacritic scores. You know, you have to hit a certain thing, and you got this person going, I actually despise these games. I got bored 20 minutes in, so yeah, this is my review. It's a 6.
Can you imagine signing a contract that says that you're going to get paid based upon somebody else's opinion? I'd be like, what? No. Awful.
It's absolutely mad. But it's the rest. I mean, there's been loads of conspiracy, and I'll never get into conspiracy theories, but there's been loads of conspiracy theories about people that used to work for Sony, that work for news publication sites these days, and were paid to go elsewhere and put these Sony positive reviews out and slate everybody else, but not just Xbox, but Nintendo and Sega and everything else over the years as well.
I'm not sure about that, but yeah,
things like that have been going on for a while.
Yeah, and let's be real with the way that everything is right now, and how people are responding to things is the big thing. So, I mean, again, clicks is what it's all about. Everybody knows you put out a bad article about Xbox, you're going to get fans from both sides flooding there for their own reasons, right? You put out something good about Sony, you've got this massive Sony contingent of fans that are going to lap it up, right?
Oh, yeah.
You put out something negative about Sony, none of the Sony fans are going to show up. And then you got the smaller little subsection of Xbox fans that are going to show up just to find out, oh, do I finally have something to say online? You know, so that now, with that being the money maker for all these sites, the clicks, it's just the nature of the beast that you're going to wind up with this. And until everybody stops going to these sites, everybody stops retweeting these sites and giving them what they want and what they need, it's not going to change. It's just where we're at right now.
Did everybody lock it in? Yeah. Did everybody lock it in?
Yeah, we locked it in.
We locked it in for Halo coming to PlayStation.
Yep,
we all locked it in.
I saw it,
that's exactly that. I think what makes it worse is the coronavirus, is the fact that their revenue for everybody is down. They have to have these stupid things to make people go, oh, you know, I'm going to rage at this, or what is this all about? What's going on here? And
who was it? Who was it the other day? It was one of the, I've forgotten which game company it was, and it was going off at Jason Schreier, but he didn't mention his name in his little rant. And it was just like, all right, so this guy's just talking nonsense about the studio just for clicks. Like, this is X, Y, and Z. No, it wasn't Cyberpunk, for a change. It was somebody else. It was
Naughty Dog, maybe, because he always likes to hit on Naughty Dog also about the crunch, right?
I don't think it was. I've forgotten which game it was, but everyone was like, I don't even need to ask who you're talking about. He's like, oh, thanks for the Bloomberg article on such and such. Like,
I don't think I saw that.
Wasn't it the dude that worked at 343?
I'm not sure.
And that he said, no, I just was a contractor and I left the company by myself to.
Oh no, there's something following that.
I think I must have the right people blocked to not make that.
Can you imagine that we still remember all those other things also, right? Because can you imagine how much impressions and clicks and everybody does, because we're still talking about it.
But it's like recently with the I can't remember which rag, but I think it was WCCF Tech, whatever they're called, did an interview with someone, and they said that it was a little bit of a ball ache to program for the Series X, but it doesn't really change anything. It just takes a little bit longer because it's a different machine. And then you get somebody else pick that up going, oh, the Series X is holding the next generation back.
Series S.
It's holding everybody. That's not what he said. He just said it takes a little bit more time because things are slightly different.
Right.
We can still get a fantastic results and everything works right. It just might take an extra week or two.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because everybody reads the headlines. Nobody reads the articles anymore.
It's like political news, right? I mean, that happened the same.
It's all the same. It's all the same now.
It's all about clickbait and horror stories. And say with COVID, only thing that you see is horror. It's just how it works nowadays. But, we just need a good Halo. And even if it scores an 85 or whatever, if the single player is good, you don't hear me, man.
If it scores an 85, it will be off the charts. Okay, it doesn't matter. The hype is already going to be unreal. But if it scores an 85, meaning that they did a lot of things right, the multiplayer is going to be free to play for everybody. it's going to explode. It will go off the charts because that means they did a lot right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not a perfect game, but they went back and made it what the fans expected it to be in the first place. So,
I'm expecting Halo to be between 85 and 88.
When do we expect some new videos about the game? When do you think it's coming to see the new really polished gameplay?
I don't reckon until E3 week or whatever they have as a E3 replacement. Yeah,
summer. Yeah, they'll make a big spectacle out of it. I would if I was them. I'd relaunch. I mean, I'd do the hype train all over again with that game, even though everybody knows about it. I'd redo and what they did last year and screwed up. I'd just come back full force 10 times and show everybody what I've been working on and say, hey, we've done it.
I'd show the same footage, but in the thing so people can compare, can kind of go, holy crap! I'd still keep Craig in though.
You know what I want to see?
I think Craig should be in it as an Easter egg, just one brute that looks like Craig.
Right.
I just want to see Aaron Greenberg, announcing it in a Greg suit. Then he takes off the hat and then, hey, it's me, Aaron.
That would be funny. That would be funny, to be fair. What are you all really hoping for at E3 then, game wise? Obviously, we know we'll probably see at that point we'll have a little bit more on Hellblade. I don't think we'll see anything beforehand because they'll be getting access to UE5.
Speaking of that, did you guys just see that they're hiring a new combat person for Hellblade?
Ninja Theory.
For Ninja Theory for Hellblade 2. They're just hiring a combat person, another one. So they are deep. It's still far off.
Yeah.
But I expect to see a trailer for sure.
Shit.
So I want to see Project Mara.
Yeah, see what that's all about.
I want to see gameplay of Project Mara so people can stop saying, it's just photos.
Yep.
Yeah, you can tell it's not really though because they're going for hyper realism with Project Mara and it's a horror game.
That'll be a 4 to 5 hour experience rather than a game.
That's a test. It's a test run for their future project. Guaranteed. They've got something big they want to do, but they want to make sure they can do it in a smaller scope first and make it work and perfect the technology that they're creating to do this. And then we're going to see that in their next game. Their next game is probably going to blow everything out of the water. They are an ascending studio. Sure. Ninja Theory
even with Hellblade, they say they want to make the best looking game ever made, not a best looking game they've made or within a Microsoft studio that's ever existed. So
Ninja Theory is Microsoft's best chance at their Naughty Dog, right?
Yeah.
After Theory, I believe this is just personal belief. They've got a lot of great studios, but Ninja Theory is the one who game after game, I won't say year after year, but game after game will have that shot at Game of the Year because they know how to write a narrative. We've already seen it. They know how to do that deep dive into people and human psyche and all of that. And now if they can put it together with a little bit bigger world experience, but with graphics that are off the charts and top of the industry, every time they put out a new game, they will be up there with the Game of the Year considerations every year.
They've got the best potential because I mean when you turn it into like sports, you can say this person, he's really rough, but he has the potential to hit this height.
Right.
That's how I see Ninja Theory. That they're small teams. There's only 100 altogether, and they've got 2 or 3 teams. Well, 2 that team now because they're not working on thingy anymore. They haven't got those 8 people working on that game.
That game.
The passion project.
But if it's anything close that what we saw in those trailers, guys, I mean, come on, it's gonna look absolutely fabulous. Huh?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
For fuck's sake, man, it looks really good. If it's like that, then we're gonna be blown away. And they showed the screenshots, right? 2 weeks ago, or was it?
The lighting
with the
lighting shot.
Screenshot. Oh man! If you're gonna see.
They have to be at 60 frames for those games.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll just do them a complete injustice if they run at 30.
Yeah. With Unreal Engine 5, with RDNA 2, the full tool set, Microsoft is going to be pushing everything to that team that they possibly can. Machine learning. I wouldn't doubt to see one of the first full implementations of machine learning with that team. I think they're going to do that, and I think it's going to blow everything out of the water. And hopefully they put this whole story together the right way, like they did in the first one, and just expand it even more. And yeah, I think we got game of the year material on our hands.
So that's where the machine learning thing's going to come in really handy, because we haven't seen it yet on any of the Xbox titles.
Correct.
And people don't seem to understand machine learning primarily isn't just for things like loading in textures or anything like that, or as and when they're needed, but it's very much like DLSS with deep learning super sampling, where it can upscale a game, have it run nigh on and very indefinite ways into how 4K looks, but not 4K, saving drastically on performance, on resolution to increase that performance output for the game. So it'll look absolutely crisp. It won't be a native output, but you'll not know the difference, and the performance will be right up there where it needs to be. And that's where the machine learning is really going to push out, because then you're going to get much better stability for games, far less bugs. The game's going to look prettier. It's going to run better. So when that starts rolling in for not just Hellblade, but every other game coming forward.
Yep. Forza Motorsport.
Yeah.
Forza Motorsport's going to look insane, 100%.
Yeah. And again, that's ground up again. That's an entirely ground up Forza Motorsport. So I'm very interested to see what they do with that and how good they make that look. If anything that we've seen, even from the in-engine, if it's marginally what that looks like, or better than what that's insane.
But it needs to be playable on this one here.
Yes.
Not
the PlayStation.
No.
Lock it in. Forza's saying it's coming to PlayStation.
Lock it in.
No, I mean my racing chair, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Not the PlayStation, which is just down here.
No, that is this. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. To go back to your original question, though, Dutch, Starfield. I expect to see Starfield this summer.
Yeah,
for sure. I think it's ready to rock and roll. I think it's gonna be ready.
Do you think that's going to be like a year? I think it's going to be multi-plat.
Yeah,
but do you think they'll keep it back as a 1 year exclusive?
I don't. Yeah, I think at the minimum, I think that one could be the first full exclusive. I think because it's a brand new IP, I think they could. I can hear why I go multi-plat, and I've gone back and forth on this one because obviously they've got the PlayStation 5 version done. I imagine, especially if it's coming out this year. So to ask, Todd and his team to throw away the PlayStation 5 version when Phil has said previously that they would, honor contracts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I can see why they wouldn't do that and say, okay, we're going to launch a console exclusive for a year, and then you guys can go ahead and launch it on PS5. I could see that. I personally am in the camp that they're going to keep that one exclusive. I think that they paid too much money, and I think that they just tell Todd and his team, this one's going to be Xbox because it's a brand new IP. But I think it's ready to rock and roll. I think it comes out before Halo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think September, October.
Okay.
I think they're going to line this up through the holiday because it's a big topic. But I think last year, with what happened with losing Halo, all the eggs in that basket with losing Halo Infinite for launch, last year was kind of a soft launch for the hardcore fans, right? And now with production problems and all that kind of stuff not being cleared up until late summer, possibly, I think that if I was Phil and his team, I would have scrapped my calendar and said, okay, guys, look, we're going to push this thing out the door. We're going to sell as many as we can. We're going to pump it. The hype's going to be real. Our hardcore fan base is going to be there. But holiday 2021, when hopefully these consoles are all available, everywhere, that's going to be our real launch. And so I think the holiday 2021, you're going to see a launch lineup of Starfield, September, October. You're going to see Halo November, and you're going to see Forza Horizon 5 shortly thereafter or somewhere in between there. And I think you're going to roll into holiday 2021 with 3 huge games. And let's not discount that the rumors are out that there's other games coming that we don't know about that may launch this year. And I think Wolfenstein 3 has a real possibility. Time frame wise, it's about the right time for them to say something. So if you've got 3 AAA games coming into holiday 2021, you've got consoles on the shelves, you've got that hype train rolling, you start your marketing campaign all over again, and you spend the summer acting as if this is your real launch and you are just pumping out, whether you start with a big like E3 presentation, whatever that's going to look like, and then you back it up with smaller, focused type shows showing off these games as they get closer to launch, I think you kill it. I think you absolutely kill it. They're going to sell a ton no matter what, but I think your Game Pass subscriptions explode all over the place coming into the holiday.
I think you're right. I mean, especially with games that would traditionally be multi-plat. I think Wolfenstein has potentially been a summer game because that's traditionally when it's come out has been your June, July period. But I think that I'm not sure they'll do it. I'm not sure they'll have the bottle to do it. But if I were them, I would just cancel the PlayStation versions because they always say, you know, the first to 10 million is normally the winners. You know, you need that momentum. There's no point going, yeah, well, we'll start the game after that.
Right. It's still important. It's not as important to Microsoft with Game Pass. Obviously, the first 10 million. You know, but to me too, Sham, it is still important from a perspective, right? So when people look at it, they still see MPD numbers, even though Microsoft's not going to report anymore. We'll still see estimates out there, and people still like to see that. But I think overall, that's an outdated system now with the way that Microsoft is going. It's going to be about engagement. That's the new key number, and this Game Pass, the numbers that we're seeing 1 million per month without any big AAA
anything going in,
without anything, right? 1 million per month growth, and then just say all of a sudden, here we are, here they come.
Halo.
This is the start. Exponential growth, right? We could see possibly 30 million by the end of this year, potentially even more, depending on how these hit. If they do it the right way, we could see 30 to 35 million by the end of this year. And then you're talking about the sky's the limit, 50 million by the end of 2022, realistic possibility. And then that's it. Then,
but can you just make the calculations, you know, what they then have as income every month and on year basis.
Yep.
I mean, then you're talking about 300 million a year or something like that.
Right.
And I don't know how many billion in a year, man. It's incredible. So if they can show that off to Microsoft as well, then the 7.5 billion takeover with ZeniMax is just the start. Because if they see the results coming in, I think 2021 will be very important for the future as for Xbox and Microsoft in gaming as a whole. If they reach that 30 million, let's say, and they make the calculation what they earn every month, man, you're gonna see some bigger things than ZeniMax for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to see bigger projects overall from all their studios, because anything that anybody wants to do, Jez Gordon and from Windows Central on the Xbox 2 podcast over the weekend, he hinted, and he doesn't say things without, you know, again, he's not an insider because he doesn't leak, but he only says things that he knows. And he said some of the things that he has seen 4 and 5 years out about projects that Microsoft has already started. He said will blow everybody's mind if they actually get to complete them. And that's going to be like a big part of it. If this Game Pass continues to grow, that funding is going to be there for everybody to do anything they want to. On top of third-party publishers, Microsoft's going to be able to just basically kick in the door and say, hey, guys, we got 50 million Game Pass subscribers. You want your game to be seen by 50 million people? Come on over. And there's going to be people lined up to do it.
I mean, already you've already got nigh on. It was 18 million by Christmas. So
yes,
yep.
I mean, you're gonna have at least that 20 million mark right now.
Yeah,
that's 20 million already on.
Close.
That's insane.
Yep. And publishers are already talking about how much they've seen increase in their revenue from putting
Sega was one of the more
Game Pass.
recent ones.
Just wait. Yeah, just wait. Yeah, Sega just came out and said it too. So just wait until it's 30 million. Just wait until it's 50 million.
With
this can be no reason.
If I was a dick, which can be argued, I would.
Wow.
Sorry, it's just he's down over here somewhere. Let me pat him on the head. I'd put it exclusive, complete exclusive, and then I would leak 3 to 6 months later via somebody from Bethesda to say that, yeah, we do have a running version of the PlayStation, but we're not going to use it, just to be a cock.
Absolutely. Accidentally put up a couple screenshots from the PS5 and be like, oh no, sorry, those were the canceled PS5 version. Sorry, here's the actual
just watermarked the PlayStation 5 version.
I mean, I see PlayStation have done that so many times with remove trailers because they've had Xbox symbols on them.
Yep.
Like, oh,
Serious?
with them,
Yeah.
with them
Yep.
though, I think they
Oh,
are.
wow.
They're gonna. Those are supposed to be timed exclusive. They just don't want them to be, because that's one thing PlayStation seem to do is they'll call something exclusive whether it's timed or not.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, correct. They make it theirs, even if it's
Yes,
not
but
really theirs.
They want the
make
time.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make everybody think that it's theirs, no matter
Ev-
what. They do a great
Everybody
job.
thinks Godfall is a PlayStation and
Correct.
PC
Call of
game.
Duty.
They
Everybody
can
thinks,
go ahead and have that.
but
They can have that.
yeah, they can have that. Yeah.
Severely, that was a game that severely lacked content at launch, and they just said it was just another generic, another generic hack and slash looter. But it didn't
This
really.
is why I'm glad that Microsoft just kind of went no to Gearbox, because outside of Borderlands, they're trash. They don't make anything compelling. They've just what was it last week? They shut the servers for their MMO type game.
Yeah, that was quite cool as well. That game, I've forgotten the name.
Battleborn.
Battleborn.
Yeah,
Their
Battleborn.
mobile kind of game. Yeah, they
I
shut the
played that
server.
back in the day. That was good.
That was a
So
cool
yeah,
game.
outside of the Borderlands, they don't really have anything going for them, and it's a shame because the
problem with-
Borderlands is a really good
Problem
game.
with Battleborn though was what it was Borderlands light.
I never played it.
It was the art style was nigh on identical. The enemies nigh on identical.
A lot of it is Randy. I mean, again,
Yeah.
again, he built the company, so I'm not going to, down on the guy because again, he probably is a lot smarter guy than I am, but he hasn't run it right, obviously. And I think that was, if the rumors are to be true, if the rumors are true, then, obviously Gearbox approached Microsoft and Microsoft said, okay, but we're going to
Randy's
transition.
out.
We're going to transition Randy out. And Randy was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. I'm not leaving.
Which
my,
I
I'm not
don't
leaving my
get
company."
because they whoever bought them paid like $1 billion. If I was Randy, I'd be like, "Yep, see ya.
Right.
I'm
Of course.
buying the island somewhere. I'm retiring." It's just
He's got one of those egos. He needs to be in the limelight. He needs to be in the limelight.
He
So
needs-
he wants to stay there and make everybody know that it's still his baby. It's one of those things. But yeah, you and me both, Shom. I'd be on an island, kicking back, laughing.
I wish I made something for $1 million and I'd be retiring.
Let alone 7.5 billion.
Yeah.
Just insane. Speaking of the performance of the Series X and next gen features, etc. Of course, we had the news that was kind of spoken about today with Cole Eastwood and Jed Ronald, as well as, of course, then later released in an article by Xbox, which was that the double FPS auto support for Xbox Series X and S.
The
So automatically double, FPS boost.
FPS
Automatically
boost,
doubles
yeah.
FPS on most games, not all, because it depends on if they support it, if the original patch is supported, etc. But basically, anything that had originally an unlocked frame rate automatically doubles, or in some cases quadruples, which I've mentioned with Super Lucky's Tale, which goes from 30 to 120 frames if you have a TV that supports it. But again, it's just another like auto HDR for old games. It was in games you've never seen it with before, and it completely transforms it. One of the games that people have loved going back to that I've seen on BC was Dead Space, because that has auto HDR on it, and it just transforms that game's atmosphere to what it probably was meant to look like originally, that they couldn't do back then. And it's just insane. I mean, with features like that, and this is just a question for everybody, with features like that coming that further enhance not only current games but potentially future games, what are your thoughts on additional features like FPS boost or auto HDR, or what could potentially be something like an audio boost that might come in the future where it automatically makes it 3D audio for all games, whether or not it's...
That would be cool. I don't know whether that'd be possible, but that'd be cool.
It could be a method that they could look into.
I think audio is one of the things it's completely overlooked by a lot of gamers.
It's such a big aspect of the game as well.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
when I need to go back and play Gears 5 because I want to try to get to that bit where they were in the cave and you could hear, they showed the demo, didn't they? The before and the after. And having Atmos on headphones and stuff is amazing. Again, we keep going back to Ninja Theory. They are masters of the craft when it comes to audio. Just
Did you see the documentary on that, on how they did it as well with the whispering?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I did, but
They just had literally a microphone in the middle of the room, and then they just had people like standing at different locations or running past it and whispering and running over here and running over there. It was just constantly it was just insane the amount of deep. But that's what this is another thing that I like about Ninja Theories is they, as much as we haven't had much information about or view on the game itself, is the developer diaries on how much work they're putting into that game for things like audio and design and costume and mocap and location and just how much work they're putting into just the background stuff, which is not easy.
Yeah. For those that don't really know, you've got like your 7 or 5.1 and like the sound is kind of going round your head. You can hear kind of where things are. With Atmos, especially with like the very, very beginning of Hellblade, you have somebody who's whispering in your ear up here, and then it goes round the back of your head and ends up on your shoulder, and it sounds like somebody is in your ear, and you're kind of looking around. It's a little bit freaky, but it's kind of it adds elevation as well as directional sound, and it is amazing. It's so good. For
the immersion, it's really nice. I have did the same with Assetto Corsa Competizione. That sound of the cars, you know, when you're hitting the curbstones in the corners, right, or the grass or the sand, and the immersion where you're putting on the headphones, it's incredible. It brings so much more emotion to a game. Also, it's really good, really good.
Well, it sounds really stupid, but even when you're going into games, and this is just without Atmos, but just in general, I mean, the game has Atmos anyway, but just in general, if you look at Tetris Effect Connected, that game,
that's crazy.
Just without the audio, like without the music and the way they've done the music to interact with what you're doing on that game would not be as popular as it is. Like they have just completely transformed that game by having that audio soundtrack in there, the way it is and the way it blends in with the gameplay. And again, Ninja Theory, they've, like you say, they've mastered the kind of the 3D audio that goes with it. And I don't know whether or not they're going to be going down that. I don't think they're going to be going down the same level of psychosis in the next game. And I don't know when it's based. I don't know, is Senua's Saga based before her psychosis or after the psychosis?
No, it's a couple of years after the first one.
So she still has kind of part of it.
Probably,
so obviously never get over psychosis.
How many times did we watch the trailer?
Oh, God, a lot.
It'd be interesting to see with this one if they actually turn the psychosis into a type of actual advantage for her, where she actually has more control over the voices and they actually help her in, you know, supposedly there's going to be some type of war maybe during the volcanic eruption. So there's just chaos everywhere, but she's trying to gather people together. Who knows? But maybe she actually has gained some control over it. And actually now she can listen to it and it's providing, I don't think it's going to, like you said, Dutch, I don't think it's going to be the main focus of the game. I think that the first one was a deep dive into her personally. And now we're going to expand out a little bit onto her world. So maybe we have some more, you know, some different ideas with how that psychosis comes into play as she's maybe becoming more of a central figure of a bigger thing, right? So that'll be interesting. I am curious about that as well.
Well, they used that kind of as being almost like a power within the first one.
Right.
When you're in battle, you could hear where the enemies were coming from and how cllose they were to you. So,
and of course, then you've also got some of the voices going, "Watch behind you."
Yeah, behind
you, or telling you to use, when to use her power or whatever else, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So I could see that coming more into play as she maybe has gained a little bit more self control with it. So
I think what they can do potentially with that, the kind of what they've learned from the first one and how they've done the 3D audio, especially like you say, she's more of a central role in terms of a central figure in a much larger world now, as opposed to just by herself all the way through and nobody around her. Right. In this game, it looks like she's obviously part of a settlement, maybe her own clan or tribe within kind of the Viking era in Norway. Mm-hmm. If that is going to be the case, then they could use that 3D audio to bring that settlement to life. Then you hear all the voices around of the settlement and things that are booming around. If you're in battle, then you hear all the battle noises and things in 3D audio. And of course, if they're really taking advantage of that, just even getting a large crowd into a room or something, getting them shouting things from miles away with this microphone, that would just be insane to hear all that come to life. Like the way it is. I mean, we've seen the way 3D audio has kind of transformed even the medium. If you've played the medium with headphones on, that, oh God, hey, that's creepy. Just hearing that monster from miles away, just whispering at you. I'm just like, where are you? Come here, skin suit.
Yep.
Dear
I'd like
me.
to try you on.
Yeah.
That was some of the things that stressed me out about the game. If you like, I streamed like I think up to half of it, and I was like, "This is stressing me out." I'm expecting something to jump out at me because I can hear things going on all around me, and I'm expecting that creature just to pop out anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep. Sound does. Hellblade, I had to take breaks. I mean, I still haven't finished it, but I had to take breaks because it's so intense. And I was watching Fun Speculation yesterday do his stream, and I was at work and I had one earpiece in, and it was still at some point I was like, I need a break. I can't do this because I had these voices talking in my head the whole time. I was like, God,
he's behind you.
Yeah, what?
Well, I'm at work. Well,
no, yeah, that's right. And even some of the chanting, when she goes into some of those areas and that deep chanting that they do, it's just goosebumps everywhere. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Pretty intense.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. And that brings us nicely into, it's kind of a blend of topics because we'll be touching on all of them at the same time. But of course, Xbox have just released their first proprietary headset for quite some time. And that one supports DTX, Dolby Atmos, Windows Sonic, as well as, of course, all the microphone adjustments, etc., on the headset. So you can create, essentially control volume of chat and game mix directly from the headset, as well as auto low latency and kind of everything that goes with it, and at a very reasonable price at only $99, which is like £95 or €100.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome price. I know Erwin's pre-ordered one. I've pre-ordered one. I don't know whether or not anybody else managed to. I don't know whether or not you did.
I did.
Yep.
I was in the morning. I would thank God because I'm looking for my I got Gen 1 A50s, and they do not want to work with my Series X. They don't want to work. I've done the updates. I've done everything. They don't want to work. So I've been using a one piece from the Xbox One. So
oh dear.
Yeah.
The half kind of
yes.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
On the other side that just pushes your brain.
Right. So I was actually looking for headphones, and I didn't want to spend again, A50 kind of money again. I really didn't. I especially with the way technology's been. Some of those headsets are really good at a decent price, and all of a sudden yesterday morning it pops up and I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I saw the price and I was like, done. I went in and pre-ordered, probably an hour before it sold out. I was like, thankful. I was like, yes.
As soon as I seen it, I'm exactly the same. The reason I looked at it and straight away went for it is I've been looking for a good wireless headset for a long time. Yes. I've been sitting with the Razer Krakens for the last couple of years, and as much as I love the headphones, having to fuck around with wires all the time is just the worst.
Yep.
And I just want something that's. And I'm never on. Like if I'm in, especially multiplayer, etc. Might be multiplayer for maybe 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours at a push. So if it's got a 15-hour battery life, and they said the only time that differs is depends on how far you are away from the console and things like that, because obviously the frequency.
Right.
I'm sitting maybe 3 foot away from the TV at most. Like I'm not far, so that battery life is going to last me a while before I need to charge it anyway. And if that's already got Dolby Atmos support, and I need to know more of the technical specs, how big the drivers are and things like that. But for the price, compared to other wireless headsets that offer the same kind of experience, it's insane. Looking like you said, A50s, they're like 300,
right?
Or not far off. You've got the Steel Series there, 150, 180. Yep. You've got the Razers again. If you get the bottom end, you're still talking 100. And they're wired. If you took in above that, anywhere between 150 and 300. Like good wireless headphones are expensive, and again, you need to, because you don't buy them frequently like games. You need to really make a good decision on which ones you get because they're going to last.
Yep.
hopefully they've cracked that 100, especially when we see these, because I'm hoping to see a review in the next couple of weeks at most, because they've had them for a while, as we've seen by their fucking video. Where that trailer that they put out ages ago introducing the Series X, and the guy in the trailer has the headphones on already. Yeah. So they've had them for a while, so I'm hoping reviews start coming out for them soon so we can hear actual feedback on them, because a lot of people are saying, like, if this is as good as it can be for $100, like they are really stepping up the game in the market. The wireless headset.
Yeah. If it's as good as the Elite controller, because the Elite controller is like $150, right? But if you buy it from some other brand, it's also more expensive. So it's if it's in the same range of quality, or like the Surface products, right? Man, we are in for a treat.
The biggest thing for me, I mean, I won't be getting one anyway because I use a pair of Neurophones, which are amazing. Yes. They are so good. But for me, my biggest letdown with headphones, like these are Steel Series, and I think a lot of headphones around about this price suffer with is the lack of what's it called, the voice feedback. So you hearing yourself chatting party chat to stop you shouting. You're normally having to pay like $150, $200 for a headset that's got that in. And the one that the Xbox is supposed to provide within their software system is crap. Their voice feedback just doesn't work. I never hear myself. I'm always getting told off for shouting.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Another thing I really like about it as well, have they just reduced the price? So, so on the website now for the wireless headphones in the UK, they've reduced the price of the new wireless headset has went down to $90.
What?
So they kind of evened it out?
Yeah, $89.99.
Yeah, so they just evened it out with the American price. That's awesome.
But yeah, direct. Another thing, no dongle, direct pair into console, no USB dongles, so no more.
Pairing
awesome as well.
Pairing the multiple devices, so you can pair to your phone and the game and hear both at the same time. That's cool. Fantastic. That's really so if everybody's got that ability, you can use Discord instead of Party Chat, which would be fantastic. If everybody's got a headset that works that way, but I know that's a feature of the upper level headphones, not generally found on the cheaper ones. And then being able to control everything right through your Xbox dashboard. So they're going to have it right in there, so you can adjust all the levels directly in there, and they're going to have some presets too. But to be able to adjust the balance and everything right in there is fantastic. And supposedly it's got the smart mic technology as well. So when you're not speaking, it's supposed to cut off the sound.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got voice. It says crystal clear chat. Voice isolation focuses the mic on your voice, reduce background noise, and when you're not talking, the auto mute feature automatically mutes your microphone, so you keep comms channel clear. Well, the manual mute button gives you privacy when you need it.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if it reviews really, really well, I might consider it.
Yeah.
Like
And if
I said, I've not seen a good wireless headset. Yeah. I've not seen a good wireless headset at that price.
Right.
Like 90.
It has to have the voice feedback.
Yeah.
Yes. But 100, let's say, or £90 I think is a really good sweet spot. For such a device, it's really nice. I didn't have second thoughts. It was directly okay. I need to have it.
Yeah, I know.
For such features, right? That we all just mentioning. It's great. So
well, I think a lot of people agreed because it sold out very fast. It goes up, it goes again too. Yeah. Everybody's hoping that this is going to hit that point. You know, and I even had to tell the wife, I'm like, hey, I finally pulled the trigger on the headset, and she's like, how much? And I'm like, 100, and she's like, oh, okay.
It's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
Mine was saying you already have one, right? I said, yeah, but it's from I need it.
Yeah,
I bought the Turtle Beach that were supposed to be endorsed by Xbox.
Yeah.
And they were rubbish. They were awful.
I had Turtle Beach years ago and I've never went back.
No,
they kept
I had Turtle Beaches years ago too.
Well, I had like for the 360, I had a pair of Turtle Beach, and they were amazing headset. But the only problem is they were just really shoddily made.
Yeah,
right.
I went through. I've got
very cheap.
Yeah, they're really cheap. The sound was excellent. Was excellent, and I broke mine because in my old house we didn't have a door on the kitchen, so I hung up a soft curtain just to kind of separate the thing, and I went through it. To go get a drink, and I didn't really push it aside properly, and it just dragged my headset off to the floor. And I'm 5'10", so it fell 5'10", 5 feet 10, and just snapped on the floor, on a carpet as well, a soft carpet, and it snapped. So for I don't know how long I had it all duct taped up, but it didn't really work as well because it wasn't thinking. It was like one ear was like this all the time. It was resting just off, so you weren't getting a closed ear on one of them. But yeah, they're good sounds. They're just, even now, even for the really expensive ones, my mate had the ones that didn't have a mic thing. They're just plastic, yeah.
That's the only thing. I mean, this one's a headband in a steel metal band with foam cushioning, ear cushion, oval design, polyurethane, leather, and foam cushioning. So it's steel and leather with polyurethane. So
the most comfortable headset I've ever had is one of those. Is it Platonics?
Yeah, I got it.
There's just the cup around the ear is so comfortable. Yeah. They'd be my favorite headset if they had the voice feedback. If they had them, I'd go with them every time.
I was reading some early impressions this morning of these because nobody's doing an official review yet, but there are some early impressions, and they said it is probably one or not two of the most comfortable headsets anybody's ever worn. So hopefully that moves up. So supposedly the design's really nice.
Yeah.
I
really like
the.
I also really like the Plantronics, the one that Shom's talked about.
Yeah,
like they're really comfortable. Yeah, the earpiece is pretty soft, so it's good for your ears. Dolby Atmos as well. So yeah, man, couldn't be happier.
How much is the Dolby Atmos app? Does anybody know how much?
Well, when you order this headset, you will get a code. You will get a code with it. So it's basically for free, but I don't know the price.
Yeah, because with Xbox, I think the small print on the Xbox One said that you will have to purchase the Dolby Atmos separately. So
okay.
Okay.
I think that was a small print.
That would have been great, right? If you bought this headset and then that was included. But
because I think
had a deal with them
included too.
Yeah, Rig. Sorry, yeah. It was the Rig, the Platonic Rig. Yeah, they had a deal with them. That's one of the reasons I got it, because I got the app free with it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one time then $10 or €10 that you pay?
$15 one time cost.
Okay.
And then you always have it for every game. And
well, you can use it over, I think it's 5 or 6 devices, so you can put it onto your PC and anything else that you use it for.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, so it's not just your Xbox; it's a multi-license.
Got it.
Thing.
Perfect. Then when the headset comes in, I will buy that then also directly.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, if that's I didn't think it was that cheap either. I thought the Atmos is a subscription or something like that.
That's what I thought so too.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. Okay,
I think actually I have one code left, because when I purchased this back in December, before that I already had Dolby Atmos, but I think I have somewhere a code. I'm not sure yet, but let me find it, and if I find it, Erwin, you can get it from me.
Give it away, but Pong's excluded from this.
I'm excluded from everything. God.
Oh dear. It was just a continuous frequency of every week. It was just like, earn Pong's one.
Look what I got.
Oh, look at that.
Man.
I found it. And it's still closed. So.
Nice. Yeah, I heard it in your voice, Dutch, after the third time I won, when you were like, "Oh, it's Pong again."
Pong again,
not him again.
So we should have it as a competition, or we could just give it Pong. We just give it him now.
May as well. The dial always seems to drop on his name anyway. Like 100 people on there. Pong.
Right.
Nice.
Oh, hey. But no, it's I mean, we kind of very, very loosely touched on it before. I think obviously Pong mentioned what he would like to see, and he wants to see Starfield. But what games do people want to see kind of announced? We know Microsoft have said it a few times this year that they've got a lot of things that people don't even know of yet, that haven't been spoken about. Of course, we know Perfect Dark was one of them, that it was the worst kept secret. Fable was the same, but they have other things in the works that people don't know of. Come E3, what is it that you'd like to see them announce?
Forza Horizon 5. That's the only game right now for me that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you just want that. I just want that game.
Yes. Yes.
I think for nostalgia's sake, like something like Banjo-Kazooie, right?
Yes.
That is just an IP that is always, maybe it isn't so big, but everybody seeing, Banjo and
I mean, they could really, if you think about it, they don't have a franchise like that. Like PlayStation have really hit well with Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, and
You
Phil
could
likes
turn Banjo-Kazooie into Xbox's Ratchet and Clank, no problem, with a good budget and good time.
Yes,
but you have it right. It's at with the Xbox. You have it on Rare Replay.
Yeah, but it's not a full blown new game, right?
Okay, yeah, it's not optimized. Okay, that's
the thing.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
But I think Phil also want more, let's say, kiddie kind of games, right? That suits more family stuff.
He wants a good mixture of everything, doesn't he?
Maybe
I think, I always think that's a little bit rude when people call them like kiddie games. They're just friendly because they're still really good games. And people, doggone, what's it called?
Go and play ukulele.
The squirrel game. The squirrel game. The one that's getting a 120 frame.
Conquer.
No,
Lucky Steal.
Just Lucky Steal. Yeah. I maxed that out.
Really good game.
I got 1,000 score on that.
Yep.
Really good game.
So it's a fun game. It's just a different game. Just because it's child friendly doesn't make it suddenly a kiddie game.
Of course not.
No,
but really fun. Kiddie game is not potentially bad. I mean, a kiddie game is more like suited for children.
Look, all Marios are kiddie games. Are you kidding me? Come on, but they're great games. Adults love them.
Exactly.
Of course, we grown up with it, so
yeah.
It's not that stupid.
Well, that's exactly why Ratchet and Clank's got so much fanfare as well, because it's a good mixture. Like the kids will love it. Of course, it's silly. Like all the guns are hilarious, like pixel gun and everything that goes in between that. The gun that makes everyone dance, so they can like it's such a stupid game, but it's also really fun, and it's got quite a cool little story that goes behind it. And to be fair, you need a good like Phil is trying to do with Game Pass. A good mixture of everything. So you've got your horror games, you've got your RPGs, you've got your MMOs. He's trying really hard to get more Japanese titles in there. You've got your racing games, you've got your action games. You probably need some kind of action adventure game in there by Xbox. That's one thing.
I think that's why they bought Ninja Theory, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like Pong was saying, Ninja Theory can and probably will be the Naughty Dog for Xbox. It will produce equal quality. You could be brave and say, if not better. I do not a worry because they still will produce great games, but because they've lost so many lead developers within Naughty Dog, not just developers, they've left a lot of lead positions to either go to Microsoft Studios or elsewhere. I wonder how good the quality they're getting into replaces. But I still think they'll still make amazing games. I'm not saying that all of a sudden there'll be absolute crap game coming out. Exactly. The next one's going to be a Crackdown 3 standard game. I'm not saying that at all. I just wonder if they're able to replace the quality that they had, because they really did have quality, with a like for like.
Yeah. And that's one thing that, again, much like Pong and Erwin and Shom, like we like multi-platform. Like we will probably all invest in PlayStation at some point this generation to play these new games. So we play video games at the end of the day. We love video games as a whole. So we want both of these companies pushing. If one company isn't pushing, then the other one just gives up and just be lazy and does nothing much, doesn't advance anything. The reason Xbox is doing as much as they are right now and have to do as much as they are is because of how triumphant PlayStation was last generation. If
could you imagine the cost?
Xbox wouldn't have.
Can you imagine the cost of games if Microsoft bowed out?
Yeah.
Because they said 70, but there was rumors that they were going 80, 90 per game.
Yeah. We may not have Game Pass right now. So, I mean, again, it's the same. If Microsoft didn't have to go back to the drawing board, we could have been doing the same thing that we have every other generation. Microsoft could be taking the same formula that PlayStation is and that Nintendo is, and we might not have Game Pass right now. So
they're forced to innovate, and we benefit, and that's great.
Rethink everything.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what PlayStation fans should also want. They should want Xbox to succeed to push PlayStation further. This is what I don't get about this console war stuff. Yeah, you should not want Xbox to fail. If Xbox fails, then your own console will go downhill.
Yeah.
We've seen that. We've seen that with both Sega and Nintendo. And Archimedes is jumping in for the last bit. Welcome, Archimedes.
Archimedes, FPS boost, Archie.
Okay.
Nice.
Thanks for the show, guys. Bye.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late to the show. I was busy editing a video, so
a video ready to rock and roll for. Is it later on tomorrow? I'm guessing
it is uploading right now. It will be live by the end of the show.
Nice.
Woo!
If you ever get to play the Division 2 with Archimedes, his character looks so German.
You need to explain this to us. Like, how is Archimedes?
Just when you look at
how does he look German?
the facial features. I don't know whether it's kind of confirmation bias.
Are you saying he's
German.
designed an Aryan German? Is that what you're saying?
No, because he's got brown hair. But I mean, just think of Oliver Kahn.
I posted a lot of screenshots on Twitter, so you guys can just look it up.
It's like you look at Oliver Kahn, the ex-Bayern Munich goalkeeper, and it's just like you look at him and go, "That dude's German." Yes. He doesn't have to speak. You know that dude's German. That's what I see with your character.
Schweinsteiger.
Schweinsteiger, yeah. Schweinsteiger, you look at him and go, yeah, that
Bastian Schweinsteiger, yeah. Bastian Schweinsteiger. The most German name ever.
Schweinsteiger. Pig farmer. Is it right? Yeah. Pig farmer?
Rudy, what do you think about Rudy Fuller?
Who?
You know him? Yeah, it's because we played against the Germans in the European Cup, right, in '88. And then there was a big match, and then they Ruud Gullit, or what was it? Frank Rijkaard spit in the neck of Rudy Fuller, but it's also Rudy Fuller. You know, it's really like
Fuller.
Difficult German. Yeah.
Rudy Fuller.
Anyway, how are you?
Okay, guys, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to jump in, say hi, and chat a little bit with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we were just speaking about, actually, we've covered the FPS boost very briefly. We've also covered the brand new headset from Microsoft, of course, coming in at that awesome price level of what's now been reduced in the UK to just under 90, going at $89.99.
What was the original one?
95.
All right, okay.
So $5 reduction already. But again, I think Pong's right. Probably keeping in line with the US price there of that $90 whatever it is when it converts. But yeah, so we've covered both of those. The importance, of course, that we think Dolby Atmos will be for specifically upcoming games from Ninja Theory, among many others, and how much of a change that has had. And then also with the upcoming E3 Digital, what kind of we're hoping for. So, Archie, I mean, other than making your video what you've been playing recently, and then we'll get back onto the topics.
I've been playing mostly the Division 2. I'm so hooked again. Fantastic update with the 60 FPS. This takes this game really to another level.
Yeah.
I played it back at launch. I really enjoyed it, but eventually I just dropped out when I was somewhere in the end game, and now I'm back. I bought the DLC, the Warlord of New York DLC. That is an amazing add-on. Absolutely having a blast with that. Sometimes Shomp is just jumping into my games without even me inviting him.
Hello.
Right here. But it's always fun to play.
I know
with
you
him.
need the help. That's all.
I kind of like I need help. Yeah.
The backup.
No, that's what I've been mostly playing. I've jumped around a little bit to some older games to do some screen captures for an upcoming video I want to do. But mostly the Division.
Awesome stuff. And one thing, obviously a new topic, this is a fresh one for all of us for the kind of tail end of the show here, is 343's second project that we have kind of been made aware that they're kind of looking at the moment or making, as well as obviously Halo Infinite, brushing up on or finishing Halo Infinite. What do you think that project might be? What direction do you think it's going to go in? Is it going to be an ODST 2? Is it going to be diving into maybe one of the other characters from the Halo universe and looking at it from a different angle? What do people think 343 are going to kind of produce on this second kind of game that they've got under wraps?
Are you referring now to that leak or that job listing that they put up? Or
Yes.
Yes, because that was confirmed by someone at 343. I forgot his name, but someone posted it on Twitter that this job listing is actually for Halo Infinite. It is
Really?
not. Yeah, it is not for another project. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't a second Halo project in the making. I think the franchise is way too big that they do only one Halo game and then support it for the next 10 years. That's what they said. I doubt that this universe is or that Microsoft is only using this big lore, this big universe, this big name that they have. I mean, Halo is their Mario. That they only use it for one game for the next 10 years. That's not going to happen. So even though that job listing might not be related directly to another project, I was always hoping that we get some sort of open world action adventure or RPG in the Halo universe. You know,
more in the vein of like
Mass Effect Halo.
Yes, yeah, or like the more recent Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I'd quite like them just to have another team that was just completely un-Halo related. So you've always got your team with the Halo, but they do something completely different, something fresh. It's not even a first-person shooter type game.
But what if that was the case? What kind of direction do you think they should go in? If it's not going to be first-person shooter, of course. Really said action adventure. I mean, how would you?
Well,
how would you
I was thinking of maybe kind of a an over-the-shoulder stealth spy something, and I call it something like Cell Splinter or something.
Check the private chat. I think they're working on that. You know, it was a rumor, like it was even in the 360 area, I think, where they made a kind of Mega Bloks Halo game, right?
Oh,
remember that? I
that was years ago.
I sent the link in the private chat. It looks pretty rad. It's like a Lego game, only then from Halo, but it created a big hype back in the day.
Yeah, I mean that would be quite awesome. Even if that looks kind of like a Fortnite Halo.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not that I really want to. I would. You know, sometimes you have those. I don't know if it are hacks or maybe some mods or something like that, where you saw the game like Halo 5 from a third-person perspective.
Yeah.
And what I really like about that is because the armor of Master Chief is always so super impressive. Such a big dude, right? With heavy shoulders and the armor so cool. I would really like a third-person action type game of the Master Chief, man. Oh man, it's rad.
What way would you like it set though? Would you like it set on just one place? Would you like it so it's kind of an open world adventure, action adventure, where he's kind of going somewhere else?
Yeah, but
Or maybe they could go down the horror route and really focus on things like the Flood again.
No, I think more on an emotional kind of way, right? Maybe that somewhere where like God of War, that he finds his kid somewhere or something like that, more based on a family kind of type of thing or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they need to make it really emotional, heavy game, because now it's more sci-fi and all alien stuff like shit.
I mean, the thing is, we know as well is, of course, the Spartans. Master Chief is kind of the alpha Spartan. He's the main guy, the king of all Spartans. But we know this, obviously, that the Spartan program created quite a few of them, and we know that from the other spin-off games. And was it Halo 3? Where it was mainly...
But who was
the
Halo
father? 2? Halo 3, where it was the kind of every other Spartan other than Master Chief.
Reach?
Yes, Reach. That's the one.
Yeah.
It was the Spartan team. I mean,
ODST.
you could.
Yeah.
ODST
as well. Yeah.
ODST and then and Reach as well. And if you go down an action adventure, if it's not even specifically on Chief, an action adventure game based on a Spartan and their kind of upbringing and emotional ties, yeah, that could be awesome. Just depends on what they're doing. Maybe have that as more of a kind of a crossover with what Sean was saying, with being a bit more stealthy, doing things like from a distance. Maybe he's being that kind of guy that has to do things more covert. That could be an awesome kind of branch off as well. But again, I think more even maybe a Dead Spacey type Halo, kind of where things have really messed up somewhere, and there's kind of some kind of story on a particular planet where, I don't know, some team has went literally off the grid. You've got to find out what's happened, kind of dig into it, but it's more of a horror on a horror first or third person side. A bit Dead Spacey, like I say. Like Dead Space had it right on the way they were doing things with that kind of that protagonist and the world that we're in and the kind of creatures and the kind of emotional side of the story behind it. But then, of course, it went to the tits, and I think Halo could capitalize on something like that.
They could have done something with Locke, but they made Locke a really hated character.
Yeah.
I don't think that Locke is such a hated character. He is that the problem with Locke was that people didn't want to play as him.
That's
as a character,
what I mean.
thought
He's got a negative connotation against him, though.
Yeah, it's because
he
plays him more than
play as him.
Yeah, in a game based on Master Chief, you played as Locke more than Master Chief, and Master Chief was made out to be the bad guy all the way through until like the last like 2-3 missions, and eventually it's like, all right, okay, we'll fight with you.
I think they can recover Locke. I came up with this idea, like, again, I'm not a Halo fanatic, but I know enough and I played them all. So, to have the idea like Infinite, what happens if Locke sacrifices himself to save Chief in some fashion? Like if they dive and they finish Locke off, he gets up, whatever, however you want to do it. We've seen it in plenty of movies where he shows up, he's got Chief where he wants him, but then all of a sudden he has second thoughts, or he finds out what Chief is really up to, or what he's actually, doing. And he realizes that his mission has been wrong the entire time. And he winds up having to sacrifice himself. Then all of a sudden you make Locke a sympathetic character again, right? Yes. And all of a sudden then go back and you can create a new story about Locke's past and what led him up to that point, why he became the way he was, right? You open up so many things. The thing with the Halo universe, and again, not a fanatic fan here, but I can even see as a casual fan how big this universe could be. Why don't we have Halo movies? I'm sorry. Why don't we? This universe is as big as Star Wars. And I know Microsoft and Xbox aren't interested, like, Sony has their movie division, whatever else. So I know they're not interested in that stuff, but why hasn't this happened? It is a big enough franchise that they could expand upon this thing. And again, of course, you got to have teams, you got to have talent in order to go that route. And even right now, all their teams seem to be involved in something. So when we talk about bringing back old IPs, or when we talk about, why don't we have more kiddie style games, quote unquote kiddie style games, or whatever else, you got to have the talent to put those things down and to create. Yeah. So, and I think if Microsoft continues on the way they are and Game Pass explodes the way we all think it's going to, then they'll have all this extra money to do these types of projects. And I hope that's kind of what Jez was alluding to, that they've got bigger plans. But Halo should be huge right now, right? We should have multiple games. We should have an RPG style game like Archimedes talked about. We should have a horror style, maybe, flood related type game, like Dutch you were talking about. We should have all these different experiences in the Halo universe because it's big enough to hold all of them, and there's so much lore already built in. It's not like you have to build it from the ground up. This lore has already been written, it's already down. We should have all these out there right now, and I hope if Microsoft sees this generation, a return to greatness that they had during the 360 years, that these ideas eventually are expanded upon, and we actually do see some of this stuff. Because I think it'd be a moneymaker, hand over fist, right? Again, I think movies, even now, even with a downturn of Halo, I think you put out a high quality Halo movie. I mean, the cartoons that they put out were great. The animation stuff was great. And some of the fanfic, I think there was that one, who was it? Blankenkamp, the guy who did District 9. Didn't he put out a Halo short film?
Man.
Yeah,
he did. He did one of the main.
The one where the chief comes into it as well, though.
Yeah.
The boot camp.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
based around a girl.
Yes,
The girl
and it
was
was-
in one of the Narnia films.
Right.
Yes.
It was incredible. So I think you could have a huge, huge Star Wars style universe franchise here if you really want to expand upon it. So I'd love to see it.
It was called. Was it Fall? No, it wasn't Fall of Reach. No, that wasn't it.
No.
Trying to think of what it was.
Oh,
But
God,
that was
so
an
good,
awesome
though.
little. It was really good.
Yes,
really good.
it
That
was.
had all of the elites and everything in it with all the,
Yep.
the light swords, made them a bit more again. And then the hunters, when the hunter was in the forest, and it was like so creepy. It's like,
Right.
oh shit, the hunter's there. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, you need to run. Like,
It was
that thing is
amazing.
bad. Yeah. And that's
But, yeah.
the type of stuff, so much that can be done with that universe.
Yep.
Forward onto Dawn.
Yes, that's the one.
But wasn't also Steven Spielberg in the beginning of the Xbox One? Wasn't it announced that they were working on kind of movie or something like that, right?
Yeah,
That got
TV
cancelled.
series.
I think
yeah.
a TV series or something. I think there has been so many projects that have been canceled over the years. It's just, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I was going to say if there's any Halo fans that haven't seen Forward Unto Dawn,
Yes.
I'd definitely recommend you go out and watch it.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
And you all go out and play Halo Wars if you haven't.
Yeah, and play Halo Wars 2 specifically
Yes.
before you play Halo Infinite.
Definitely.
100%.
But with the DLC, you gotta play
Yeah.
the DLC then.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, Archimedes, I mean, we've spoke about the 343, etc. as well. But what's your thoughts then on today's news about the FPS boost, Archie?
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil the video that is going to go live in like 5 minutes.
Just read your script. Just read your script, Archimedes.
Just read my script. I read that
Welcome, gamers
script
from
now
around
like
the world.
5 times to get the best audio recording for it.
Go ahead, practice on us.
No, I mean it's amazing. It's see the thing here is I can already see. I didn't check Twitter. I really spent the last 3 hours making that video. Didn't watch the reactions on Twitter or whatever. But I can see that people are going probably crazy about only having 5 games in there, and what's the reason for that, and so on. I mean, this is just a proof of concept, but it's an amazing concept. The effort that Microsoft is investing in game preservation on consoles is just incredible. We have had it from the very beginning in 2015 when we got originally back compatibility. Games suddenly run a lot more stable on the Xbox One. Yeah, when the Xbox One X came out, we had that increase in resolution, that 16 times anisotropic filtering, and we have seen Xbox 360 games in a way we have never seen them before. Halo 3, without that it received an update, it looked incredible on the Xbox One X. Yeah? Or Red Dead Redemption 1, amazing looking. They were always in that. And now when the Xbox Series X came out, we had the auto HDR feature. Absolutely brilliant. And now we get that auto FPS boost. Amazing. I mean, I really can't applaud them or I can't praise them highly enough for the sheer aspect that this is definitely not a console seller. This is not a business case for them. I doubt that they make money out of investing that. This is solely a fan service for people that are invested in their ecosystem and that want to preserve their games on the consoles, like they can do today on PC. And I'm just really happy that they are doing this.
Yeah, it's an awesome, like I say, it's an awesome addition. One thing we touched on before was what other additional kind of auto enhancements can they do using or leveraging the power of the console? I mentioned before potentially something to do with audio. They've already got auto HDR. Now looking at performance with the FPS boost, could you do something with audio to provide 3D audio to games that might not have had it before? Something that was similar to that nature? Do you think that's something they could potentially look at next?
Guys,
I mean, it would only make sense. I don't see it out of the realm of possible.
Stop.
Pardon?
Forza's talking.
I didn't hear,
No,
hear that.
I gotta head off, guys. I
Alright.
told the
Gonna get
beginning
this
of the
tooth
show,
better.
my tooth is really hurting like as fuck, and we are now almost 2.5 hours in, and I'm almost dying over here. So
Okay.
I've got to go. I'm gonna take some painkillers and head off to bed. So sorry to interrupt you, Archie, but I will leave the show. I hope you still have fun. It was really nice talking to you and seeing you, Ping Pong, after all those
absolutely,
wins that you had.
Thank you.
So good to see you. I really enjoyed being on the show. Sadly I need to go, Archie, but always good seeing you and hearing you. And see you guys on the next week, guys. Have fun.
You
Absolutely.
take care
Take
of
care.
your tooth, buddy.
In a bit.
Hope you
Thanks,
tooth's better
buddy.
soon, mate.
Cheers.
Awesome stuff. Sorry, Archie, as well. What were you saying, brother?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean the audio thing is definitely a great idea. It would only make sense in that vein that they have provided updates to the backward compatibility program, and I don't think it is out of the technical possible. Yeah, after they can do auto HDR and frame rate boost and anisotropic filtering and everything, why not find a method to convert stereo or 5.1 surround sound into 3D audio? Definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking along the lines of something where they could auto enhance some kind of audio feature into the console as well, where you get that more surround sound 3D audio for games that might not have had it before. It might be a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it should be within the realms of possibility as well that they can produce something like that for games. Is there any particular features that anyone here that would like to see any next-gen console really kind of bring into their consoles going forward? Anything they want alongside of the games going forward that they would love to be introduced or carried forward? That question's open.
That's the kind of like we're going to need a little bit to think about this. It's not something I can roll off the tongue.
I mean, one logical step would, of course, be that they unify that backward compatibility program with their xCloud efforts, because there are only a handful of back-compat games now available to play via xCloud, and those are the games that are in Game Pass. Yeah, but outside of that, I'd love to see them extend that effort there.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one. We've also so far we've got what now is FPS boost, which will evolve over time. As we know, that's not going to be a straightforward one. We've got auto HDR, which again, as awesome as it is, will evolve over time. All games will be refined as is. There's mentioned as well, some games it doesn't really work that well, or it doesn't suit the game style or game type. So it's again case by case basis. Potentially audio. Again, we've got the resolution's already down there. We've got auto kind of enhanced resolution, so it kind of changes depending on what device you're on, etc., and auto boosts to a higher resolution to make sure it's as crisp as it possibly can. What additional can we really have in these games? Is it's more of a performance boost? Can we get something that's going to help uncap games to really reach their full potential?
They could have something. It's only a small thing, and it wouldn't surprise if they're actually going to implement it. And I think people have spoken about it before. Is the ability to stream your games while they're downloading. So you buy a game and jump straight in without having to wait for it to download because it's streaming from the cloud while it's downloading onto your machine.
That'll be a good option. That'll be a good option. Just have it there ready for people to, as long as they've purchased it, ready to play.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, you buy a game because your mate's playing it, and then you jump straight on via the cloud while the actual
downloading in the background.
Downloading, and then maybe I don't know if you'd be able to auto swap over. So it might be a lower quality game because you know how I think it's with like Titanfall and not Titanfall, Apex Legends. Sorry, when you're downloading that, it gets to a certain point where you've got the whole you can play now, and it's without all the HD textures and everything like that. But you can play it. Yeah, but then once it's once it's fully downloaded, yeah, it will prompt you. You go back to the menu screen, jump back in again, and it's the full game again.
Yeah. No, that sounds like an awesome little feature that could be. I think that could be quite easily implemented. To be fair, it just depends on whether or not the game. I suppose the game. It wouldn't be anything on their part that they need to do, though, would it? Like the developers and things, it wouldn't be anything to do with them. It'd be more Microsoft doing us. As long as you've purchased it, you can play it because it's already on our cloud.
I'm guessing you'd have to have your game signed up to the cloud.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be an awesome little boost. Anything else? Anything else anyone can think of?
No, but do remember with a lot of these features, though, it seems like, listening to Colt's interview with Ronald this morning, obviously they are going back to the devs and asking basically for permission to do this. It's not, it's not as simple as when they first explained. They're like, oh, we found something that, the devs don't have to do anything, which is obviously technically true. They don't have to do anything, but they are going the extra. And I don't know if there's legal reasons for it. But they are actually asking the devs if this is okay to go ahead and boost this, and it was Colt asked about, Red Dead Redemption. Obviously we're going to see a boost on that. And, it was obviously we know that they are probably going to go back and do their own update to the game, or they're going to do a remaster or something. And so they're going to probably say no, right? They're going to absolutely not, don't do this. So a lot of this kind of stuff is going to, it's fantastic that Microsoft is going out of their way to do this. They don't have to do any of this. So people don't understand. People act like this is something that, we should expect. No other companies are doing this. Okay. This is something that Microsoft is simply doing because Phil himself is a big proponent of preserving the games, right? And of the history of games. It goes into part of why he is buying up, a publisher like ZeniMax, because he wants to protect the IPs. Yes, there's a lot more that's involved in that, but he does not want a company that does not care about the gaming industry or does not care about the history of the IPs to get a hold of it, right? He does not want that to happen. So for Microsoft to spend this much manpower, this much time, this much money to add something like this, when they absolutely do not have to, at all, is pretty incredible. Because again, like they were talking about today in the interview, the time that it takes to go back and test these games. Yes, it's only only 5 games currently, but like Ronald was talking about, they're in the process of testing like a Fallout, but that takes thousands of hours to go through each and every little part of the game to make sure that it's performing properly. So, I can't imagine the undertaking that this is on top of all the other backwards compatible stuff they've already done. So that stuff is incredible. But yeah, just remember, even though they're doing this and even though they're doing it and they found solutions outside of the box to make this happen, they still are asking the devs for permission because, they don't, whether it's legal reasons or whether they just don't want to step on anybody's toes, that's going to be an extra process in itself.
Yeah, well, 100%. 100%. I mean, of course, aside from that, I want to just touch back on the audio section. Archie, I know you've got the A50s, much like Pong did, until his broke.
Yeah.
What do you make of Xbox's first proprietary headset for a long time?
Well, I can't judge it before I haven't tried it. There are not that many quality headsets in that price range that offer that kind of feature set. So the headset offers a lot of features. It's wireless, has Bluetooth, etc. In that price range, in the end, we have to put it on our heads, see if it's comfy and if it does sound good. These are the 2 most important things for my headset. If you can wear them and if they sound good. I also, besides the Astra A50, I do have the SteelSeries X7 P for my PlayStation. And I do have to admit that headset is pretty awesome. It is about $100 cheaper than the A50. I would say it on the sound level, it is on par with the A50, but it is, at least from my head, and I know I have a German head, Shomp, but I'd say it's even more comfy than the A50. So if my A50 would break now, I'd probably go for that. It is around $150, so $50 more than the Xbox proprietary headset, but it is an incredible one. Yeah, and about the Xbox One, I can't judge it, to be honest, before I didn't try it on.
Before you tried it. I mean, like I mentioned that before, for the price and the feature set and everything that they've bundled into it, there hasn't been a headset that's offered those features for that price.
Yeah.
So, and for me, I've just come from a wired headset, which is what I'm on primarily now. Obviously, not just here, which is kind of a mix, a proper audio Pioneer headset, to the Razers I've got for the Xbox, and they're both wired. And I was looking for a good pair of wireless headphones that offered the features that they've just announced. So I've taken the plunge because I was looking for something like that, but I wasn't also willing to pay the A50 prices. And everything else was, like I was mentioning to these guys before, was anywhere between $150, $200 for a good wireless pair of headphones that had those features. So nigh on double the price. So I think if like you mentioned, they hit it off with these headphones, it's comfortable, and the features hit the mark, they're really onto something. Really onto something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the question here for me was they promoted it that it supports Atmos. I mean, every stereo headset supports Atmos. Yeah, it's not a feature you have to build into your headset. It's a software thing, and it's not defined by the headset. It's defined by the Atmos app that you have to download on this Xbox. And the question here is if that app is included in the price. Because if that app is included in there, then it's a real steal, because that app is like $20 or $25 on the Xbox. So yeah, if that app is included, it's a real cheap one.
It is.
Yeah, I think I read the fine print, Archimedes, is that it said that you do have to buy it separately.
Okay, you have to buy it separately.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
I mean, it's even then the price of Atmos is like what we mentioned before, is a one-off cost of $15.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a great expense. I thought it was a subscription, but it's not. It's just one-off.
Not a one-off, yeah.
So it's like €10. So I mean, that's not much, to be fair. And again, it supports DTSX, it supports Windows Sonic, and Atmos. So of course, I want to see more of the actual technical specs of the headphones and see what kind of drivers and things it has in it and all of that. But otherwise, it looks like an awesome for the price. I don't think anything's really getting that close to it.
Correct.
One thing, last but not least, I'm going to talk about, as we mentioned before, the power of and the recent kind of comments made by Sega about Game Pass. So you might have seen, Archie, Sega's comments about kind of how they're really happy with the results of Game Pass so far. Their comments specifically were kind of a rundown on Game Pass over at Eurogamer. Sega's Europe's senior vice president of commercial publishing, Anna Downing. Shom's dropped off his device, is not connected. Never mind. I'll get him back in a second whenever that's fixed. Anna Downing spoke to the company's relationship with Xbox Game Pass, which has seen titles such as 2 Point Hospital and Yakuza franchise thrive since their inclusions. We're really happy with the results, and we hope Microsoft are too. Ultimately, they wanted high-quality titles, and we wanted to take advantage of a great new opportunity. Secondly to that, then spoke about the success of 2 Point Hospital specifically, and it said it helped propel the franchise to over 3 million players worldwide. It's a huge benefit on being on Game Pass. It strengthens the exposure you get to a first-party audience. That surge in engagement also helps further establish that product in the market. It's great for us and ideal for customers who want to experience something they might not have engaged with outside of Game Pass. And lastly, they said they were asked if that model can work with brand new IPs that they might create. Can that model work with a subscription service? Absolutely. Would we specifically develop a game with that service in mind? Potentially. It really depends on how the offerings evolve over the next few years and what consumer demand and expectation is. So I think we touched on that before with Game Pass, and it's been the last topic as well. Game Pass, of course, has surged massively in recent months, going up from 10 million last year to what is probably nigh on 20 million now, if not over that. Would have been 18 million kind of for the last quarter so far, leading up to Christmas. I mean, what's everybody's thoughts really on what Sega's kind of said? Again, further cementing just how much of a kind of quality Game Pass is, not only to first party, but also second and third party audiences.
Okay, I guess if nobody's going to talk, I'll go.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to go first again,
guys.
so
everyone's waiting for somebody else to jump in.
Yeah, I know.
Pong, would you do us the honor?
Yes, I will do the honor. Thank you very much, Archimedes. So from the standpoint of Sega, obviously, again, it goes back. We touched on it earlier with Game Pass growing, with the amount of people that these publishers and devs can now get eyes on their games, right? When they put them in Game Pass, it's just growing and growing and growing, right? And when a big publisher like Sega comes out and confirms yet again, for all the naysayers out there that say Game Pass does not help devs or is actually detrimental, I think that it is fantastic to see Sega come out, because I have been promoting, and we talked about this earlier too, as well, as getting more of the Japanese style games into Game Pass, right? That is, again, it's a niche market, it's a smaller market when it comes to the overall gaming experience. However, Xbox for so long has been so absolutely bone dry without any kind of Japanese style game representation that just a lot of people who play on Xbox just never maybe got to experience them. I know a lot of people do own PlayStations or own Nintendo, so they get them there, but a lot of people just haven't experienced them. To say that there's no point in putting that style on Xbox because there's no market for it is completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yakuza blowing up and more people discovering Yakuza than ever before is proof positive that this works, and that what Phil's vision for Game Pass is solid, and it's something that is going to be proven time and time and time again until it finally all goes away. But I think to have Sega come out and say this lays the groundwork for the bigger publishers out there who may be kind of hesitant. Now we know Atlas is a division of Sega, Sammy, right? So we know Atlus has been resistant to putting any of their games on Xbox at all, right? We have not seen the Persona series at all on Xbox, which is crazy to me. But I think this is the final push that's going to, Sega's finally going to strong arm. I don't know how they've gotten away with it for this long of not doing it, but I think Sega's going to finally strong arm Atlus into putting the Persona games onto Xbox, and they'll have the proof in their own numbers saying, hey, look what Yakuza's done. Yeah. Look at this. Yakuza Like a Dragon is even selling well on Xbox, and that is a turn-based older school. Yes, it's updated and it plays faster, but it's still a turn-based Japanese style RPG that people have said can't succeed on Xbox for years and years and years and years. And this goes back to the Blue Dragon days and the Lost Odysseys and all that kind of stuff when the sales weren't the greatest. However, again, more exposure, more people than ever playing video games, more people in Game Pass. It opens up a whole new can of worms, a whole new group of people to go ahead, buy the game, or at least even try it in Game Pass and say, you know what, I actually kind of like this style. Let me go check out what else is out there. And like we talked about earlier, as Game Pass numbers get further along, if they hit the 30 million, let's say, mark by the end of 2021, okay, it's going to be near impossible for any third-party publisher to say, I don't want to put my game on Game Pass, when they know they instantly have an audience that big of potential customers who can look at that game. And we already know from the facts that have been put out by Microsoft that the people that play inside of Game Pass Ultimate buy more games and more DLC than the average consumer does outside of it. And that is just going to, again, enhance what they're trying to put out there as far as, look at us. We have this great system, we have this great product, and we have this great service that you can put your game into, and instantaneously you have a customer base right there waiting for you, no matter what. And on top of it, we're going to pay you some money for putting it in here too, by the way. So awesome to hear Sega come out and say it. And just from a personal standpoint, me wanting more JRPGs, more Japanese style, crazy wackiness kind of games in there, it's awesome. I love to see it.
What's your thoughts on it as well, Archie?
I mean, fantastic points. 100% behind what Pong said. I just want to add 2 more things to that. The first is, he touched on it in the beginning a little bit. We have heard many times from, let's say, smaller to mid-sized tier studios that putting their game in Game Pass really helped them advertise it. People start to talk on social media, people start to talk on Xbox Live, and games appear suddenly on the Xbox Live dashboard simply because they are in Game Pass. So that helps them to now come out, hear that same argument from a big publisher like Sega, a AAA publisher, is amazing, because we can all agree that this only makes sense for smaller games, that they get free advertisement through Game Pass, that they get the exposure. But the same thing applies to bigger publishers. Is fantastic to hear. The second thing is about the importance of Japanese games. I think in no other service than Game Pass, it is more important to have Japanese support in there, because here's why. If you want to grow your business, the best way to do so right now is probably in the Asian market, because that's where they don't have a strong foothold, in South Korea and Japan and so on. And even China, they will eventually try to reach out and launch the Xbox in China, and Game Pass with it, of course. So, and here's the thing: where do these people play? In Korea, we have heard that number that they have more subscribers via xCloud or users via xCloud than with the actual console or PC. So, in these kind of markets, that mobile gaming market is incredibly huge, and xCloud is what they want to sell there. It's not the console, and you can only access xCloud via the subscription, and so you have to have those Japanese, these Asian, or these games that the Asian market has interest in. You have to have those on your service, Game Pass / xCloud. It just makes sense. And to see one of the biggest Japanese publishers come out and say Game Pass helps them is the best thing that can happen to Game Pass right now.
Yeah, and it's by the sounds of things, especially such a niche game like 2 Point Hospital, hitting 3 million players is quite significant.
Yeah.
So if you see just a little game like that, I'd love to see the numbers around Yakuza. If 3 Point Hospital's getting 3 million players, I mean, it would be absolutely insane. And again, if a small game like 2 Point Hospital's getting 3 million players, what are other indie developers getting as well? You've got to think just how much this it actually gives back to these developers. It's just insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any final thoughts on that one as well, Sean?
No, I think the others have pretty much covered it. Like Pong was saying, if Sega's singing the praises, it shuts up a lot of people. It's no longer, oh well, these people need Game Pass to survive. It's just full of indie games. It's like, no, you've got a major publisher coming out and saying it. Yeah, exactly. Awesome stuff. Well, this has been an absolutely amazing show, and we will wrap it up there now. Thanks for the late join for Archimedes after he's finished his video, which is live now on his channel. So go and
yes, it is.
Go and view that. Literally just went live, and it covers everything that was discussed on the new FPS boost by Microsoft or Xbox today as well. So go and view that on his channel straight after this. Show him some love. Make sure you throw him a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know how you won't be following Archimedes already, but if you haven't, make sure you do so. But until then, it's been awesome. Thank you everybody who turned up in the chat this evening. Again, if you don't already, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And of course, the support means the world to everybody here. And we will do our outros. So unfortunately, I think Pat might have been lost to connectivity or something again. But he's away. Erwin went with his bad tooth, so he's off to bed. But let's start with our guests this evening. So thanks again, Pong, for coming along for the first time and jumping on the show. It's been absolutely awesome to have you. If you let people know where they can find you and what you're going to be up to over the next week.
Absolutely. Thank you again, guys. Just an absolute pleasure. I've been watching you guys for so long to finally be here, and I got to say, I was a little down and depressed that I didn't see Archimedes in here. But guess what? He showed up. So I can also say I've been on a show with Archimedes. So yes, I'm completing all the people I want to be a part of. So I had all you guys, and then Archimedes shows up. So this is great. But I don't take these invites for granted. They are extremely appreciated for somebody who had no intention of doing this ever. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to come on and join in on your show. I hope I did okay because I just love what you guys do here. So, and I want to make sure that that I continue that excellence. So, appreciate you guys. You can find me Pong Soul everywhere. Pong Soul on Twitter, Pong Soul on Xbox Live. Follow me, join me, whatever. Add me as a friend. I'll add you back. And just love talking about gaming, obviously. So, for the next on Friday nights, you can see me on Xbox Ultimate with Fun Speculation, his wife Caitlin, 3-Bit, Assassin Lupa. Hopefully she's doing better. We haven't seen her in a couple of weeks, but we've got her prayers out. We've heard from her a couple times, so we're continuing to hope she's getting better. And then obviously on Saturday nights, you can find me on the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Centurion, Fuzzy Belvedere, and Stegarilla. Great show as well. We only run it for a little bit over an hour, so definitely a quick show that you guys can catch on Saturday nights. Otherwise, you never know when I'm going to show up. So, it's been kind of crazy. I got some things in the background, so just keep your eyes open. Over the next week, I'm expecting to play more Division 2. Obviously, been back on that bandwagon hardcore. So definitely
I just added you on Xbox Live.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
We gotta play together.
Zombie hand with holding the controller.
Yes, that is correct, sir. That is the one. You
guys
guys
just having a look now just to make sure.
So yeah. If you want to get down with some Division 2, I'm more than happy to. So, but other than that, I've been trying to hop back into some Cyberpunk as well. So I got so many hours into that, and I got sidetracked. Kind of took a break from it for a little bit, but trying to hop back into that a little bit too as well. But playing with the community has just been crazy fun. I forgot how, again, years and years without friends that were hardcore gamers. So I did a lot of lone wolfing, or with randoms, which just isn't the same experience. So hopping back in with people has been absolutely incredible. So otherwise, chat, thank you so much for coming out. None of this would be possible without you guys here. All the support and love that you guys have shown, not only myself, but all these channels, obviously, as I'm definitely in all the chats that I can be. So thank you guys so much.
You definitely get around. You're everywhere. No, it's awesome, and the support obviously means the world. But you've been an awesome guest this evening, and a lot of amazing points and a lot of great feedback. So appreciate that. Shomberlon, how are you doing today, brother? If you want to let people know where they can find you and what you're going to be playing next.
I will be playing probably the Division 2. Although my backlog's so it's ridiculous. The problem with it sometimes is like I think I go too hard at a game as big as the Cyberpunks and the Divisions, and then I put it down for too long to play other stuff. But as we are in a little bit of a dry patch in gaming for what's coming out, I don't mind too much. But you can find me with the correct. There we go, with the L. In there this time.
Shomberlon, not Shomberlon.
Shomberlon. You can find me on Xbox or Twitter. I keep meaning to try and do. I'm trying to stream. I keep forgetting, and my setup's changed a little bit now, so that my camera blocks a part of my TV. So that's a little bit annoying. I'll have to try and figure out something for that. Or I could stream without a camera. That could be another way
option.
around it. But yeah, I want to stream the original Splinter Cell trilogy, 1 to 3. I need to be in the mood. That's my problem. If I'm not really in the mood for streaming, I'm a boring watch because I don't talk if I'm not in the mood.
I'm exactly the same. It's as long as when you've got the chat up and things, it's great to see the chat there because then talking becomes easier. Especially with streaming, a lot of streamers say that you've just got to learn to talk even though there's nobody there. And I find that really difficult. And I feel like I'm just talking to myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I will eventually get onto that.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. And last but not least, Archimedes. Thanks for joining us again. I know obviously you were busy doing your video, but obviously it's appreciated when you do have the time to jump in here. But yeah, if you let people know where they can find you, what you've got coming up, and obviously link them to your new video that you've just released.
Yeah, first of all, apologies for crashing the show so late. No, it's always fun talking to you guys. Sometimes if breaking news happens right before the show, more or less before the show, it's difficult. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be here, especially today, of course, with Pong. You bring so much knowledge to the table here. That is amazing. I do hope it wasn't the last time that we are on a show together, and I have definitely added you on Xbox Live already. So let's team up there because I had the same problem with the Division. I usually play solo and then or at least with randoms, and it's just not the same.
Did you just moan earlier that I jumped
Everyone
in
else
on your
can find
game?
me definitely here on Twitter.
Well, you
on
are a random
YouTube, on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, everywhere at Boxenberger. And I just uploaded my latest video about.
Everybody's got problems today. Holy cow!
Technical issues over in Germany as well.
Must be me. Yeah, it's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. Archimedes obviously dropped out there. His new video based specifically around Microsoft Xbox's new FPS boost mode.
What's happening tomorrow?
I'm not sure what's happening
Isn't
tomorrow.
there something happening tomorrow?
There was
Second
Nintendo
Extinction
Direct today as well.
Second
that's
Extinction
what it
new
is.
trailer.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm kind of hoping it's a stealth drop.
Yeah.
Oh, so do I.
That'd be awesome.
Did you guys watch the gameplay on that? Not to take over again because I know we're leaving, but did you guys watch the 16 minutes? 16 minutes of 4K from IGN.
No, I haven't actually seen that.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
actually know.
Yeah, take a look at it. It is fast paced. Like it looks just like plain fun. It doesn't look, the greatest, but it just as far as graphics go, but it is fast. It looks like it's going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait.
4-player co-op.
3-player.
3-player.
Yep, 3-player.
What's this whole thing with 3-player nowadays?
I don't know. I
It
don't
really
know.
splits the crew up.
It does
You have
because
to
most
pick
people love to run
favorites.
4. I know.
Yeah, you have to pick
I agree.
favorites, which is why I actually always get left out. But I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, I played Destiny for that.
Yeah.
They really
Arch-
started that whole thing.
Archimedes is back. All
Before
right.
you
Yes,
went back,
I'm
you-
sorry, I just lost the connection.
Yeah, you
Back
cut
to
out
finish his
while
outro.
complaining that you don't have any randomers, and then also complaining earlier that I jumped in with you. So, I mean,
No. That was a blast, Sean, but we have to do that again.
it was a good mission, even with the randoms. But I mean, there's more and more people playing it now, so we should, once people get up to levels in terms of getting gear and whatnot, we can actually organize a proper raid.
Yeah.
A raid.
I haven't played the raid in the Division yet, so
No, I haven't, but it's 8 players, so
I played it in the Division 1. The incursions or what they were.
yeah, they
called.
were incursions rather than a raid.
Yeah, but never a raid in Division 2. That'd be awesome, yeah.
Be awesome.
Time to
See
go
what
all
they do with
Leroy
it.
Jenkins.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Well, you can find me on the usual place. So at WandrinDutch on both YouTube and on Twitter. And WandrinDutch, slightly abbreviated, on Xbox. And then finally, and last but not least, GoesseN on the PlayStation.
PlayStation. Good, don't let you change your name.
No, and I'm not paying for it because you lose your licenses to the games that you've got if you change your name, which I'm not fancying doing. Also, you have Switch, but you can just automatically do that. Follow me on Twitter. You should be able to find me on Switch via its automatic thing, because the friend code stuff on Switch is just ridiculous. I don't understand why they've still got that. You can just tell somebody your name and then be able to add them that way. Be much easier. Not some hieroglyphic friend code. But never mind. Again, thank you to everybody who come along this week to the show. If you haven't already done so, thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. So if you can all do that, please, it really helps the show. Until next week, thank you and goodbye.
See ya.
See you later.